welcome everybody to the Breachers VRML Season 4 NA Top 8 Single Elimination Day 2. My name is Nightfire with 2 E's. I'm joined by my co-caster Martini. Martini, how are we doing this afternoon?
You know, doing great, right? We had a good set of matches coming up yesterday, and I'm excited to see what these set of matches come up today with IVNA, SVNA, Fusion, and Valiance. I mean, top 8 is always the most exciting, I think, to watch and see who gets knocked out in these early rounds.
Yeah, you know, you have the sort of expected outcomes, right? With the 1 and 8 seed matchups pretty standardly going the way of the 1 seed. Not often do you see the Challenger Cup winner come out and challenge the best team in the regular season, but sometimes it does happen, and in yesterday's case, it did not happen. So the expected result is what we got today. Similarly, but a little bit tighter. Seeds 2 versus Seed 7 duking it out to start things off. SVNA, despite being lower than IVNA, have more wins, which is interesting, coming in at 13-4 on the regular season. But because it's their first season as a team, coming in Season 4, they had to work a little bit harder to climb up that ladder to get to the point that they got to be past the Challenger Cup and qualify in as that 7th place team seeded in North America. And that is a hard thing to do, right? When we talk about NA, there's a lot of teams playing in NA and Breachers, and that talent pool is big, and there's a lot of skilled teams.
Yeah, and I was checking out IVNA, SVNA, just kind of seeing what's going on in terms of the wins and losses. And you're right, SVNA technically has a good amount of wins there. And I did a deeper dive. I'm like, what's going on here? What are we seeing? And I noticed that out of all their wins and losses, only 2 of those games happen to be with master tier teams, right? They beat F3 in one of their games. That was a big upset, I think, a couple weeks ago. But they did also lose to Fusion. So to me, it's kind of a coin toss in terms of SPNA, whether or not they are battle tested. That's always the first thing I think of with these top 8 teams. Are they battle tested to actually play in the top 8? And I'm not quite seeing that with SPNA, right? They lost a variety of times to other lower tier teams. I think Mysterious Lunchbox is the game I had seen a little bit earlier on in the season. So only having 2 master tier games on the SVNA side, you know, I'm a little shaky, especially when you're going against a team like IVNA. They're 2nd place. They've only lost to a top 8 team, right? They've only lost to F3, Fusion. They've beaten Acer, once. They did lose to Acer a couple times. So IVNA is battle tested. They've dealt with these sort of stakes time and time again. I'm not quite seeing that on the SVNA side. So when I'm looking at these 2 teams and these 2 matchups, IVNA, obviously, I'm going to definitely swing towards, especially being that 2nd seed. But to me, remember, to your point, right, they kind of snuck in. They could have been in CCs if they had not played their cards right. But I think that F3 win was definitely a big ticket into playing in this top 7 here. But we'll see. They might surprise me today. They might surprise me. It showed me that, hey, they're definitely battle tested for top 8.
While we wait for teams to get ready for the top 8 single elim tournament, as we do have IV trickling into the lobby, and then we will be diving in to map 1, I did want to give a quick shout out about VRML Con. If you don't know what it is, it's happening in roughly 49 days, something like that. It is on the cusp of happening at July 25th to the 27th, a in-person event with over $20,000 in cash on the line. It's Phoenix at Arizona State University Media Experience Immersive Center. If you buy a ticket, you can create a team with anyone else that has bought a ticket and enter into one of 5 tournaments that's happening over the course of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 4 of the 5 of those tournaments, onward excluded, have $5,000 in cash on the line for the prize pool. So if you make a team and you enter into all 4 tournaments, there's a good chance that you will be one of the teams to play on stage and have an opportunity of taking away more than just $5,000. You could take multiple cash prizes home if you're a squad that's able to practice at all and prepare in some way for the tournament July 25th to the 27th. The registrations are open right now, and the qualifier is coming up in a few weeks, so you do not have a lot of time to get together and practice and prepare. If more than 4 teams register, we will have that online qualifier where then only 4 teams will advance to Arizona State University to play live at that Media Experience Immersive Center across 2 stages. Again, 5 tournaments being hosted with the Ryan Drift going all day. So it's a huge event. We've got a lot of tickets going right now, teams signing up and registering. So I recommend you jump in on the hype. And if you don't have a team to register, or you don't have players that you want to put together, we are offering up the opportunity to register as a solo player. We'll take 5 other solo players and put them on a team, and you will get registered into the tournament that way. So we want to make sure that if you are going to the con, that you have an opportunity to play in any of the tournaments that are going on over the course of the weekend, and it's going to be easy to register into. So again, you just got to go to vrmasterleague.com/VRMLCon for all of the information, or vrmlcon.com. Head on over to the Discord, the VRML Con Discord, and get all of the details you need to create your own team. Martini, we've been to cons before. You know, they are a ton of fun. You know, we got the con footage loop up here, but I can't wait for Phoenix.
I've only been to, I think, 1 or 2 cons, at least a VRML Con. I've only been to 1, but I've been to other LAN events. And I think that I always say this, the most exciting part is, you know, these people you've seen all year, all season, maybe even multiple seasons or years. You get to finally see them again in person and really enjoy just talking to people. And as much as we are definitely a virtual reality focused community, nothing beats just seeing your friends live. And I always say, like, definitely go there. All the casters, I think, on the bleacher side are showing up, on the NA side for the most part. So we'll definitely all be there. I think I was talking with Gravy. We might do an IRL 24/7 stream on the Twitch during the con. Like, we're trying to get creative, right, and have fun while we're out there. And you just can't beat, you know, seeing everybody in person and the energy. I think the energy is the coolest thing to ever see when you're, you know, casting live with everybody and having a great time, and you hear the crowd cheering. You know, it's just something exhilarating. It's some part of it's anxiety driven because it's so much energy, so much is on the line. And you want to obviously for our side, we want to put on a good show. But for the gamers, you know, they told me they can feel the difference there, right? There's just more, there's more fatigue you can feel. Everything in the energy is so live. It's crazy to be there live and be cheering for a team that maybe you want them to win, right? Or maybe you hate the other team and you want them to lose and cheer for the team that's beating them, right? So it's always just exciting to see that stuff live. You can't beat that energy.
Yeah, it is one of my favorite things to do within the VRML, and Phoenix Invitational very likely could be one of the biggest cons that we've hosted yet, you know, so I'm really excited about being able to do what we've done, and I think even more so the production value is going to be increased quite a bit too, so I'm really excited. The stage looks awesome, the venue is incredible, and you can catch all of that action live here on the network. You just got to go subscribe and ideally hit the thumbs up on this stream too. But yeah, we are going to be broadcasting all of that action on the VRML network, so you don't want to miss any of that. That's again July 25th to the 27th, VRML Con. That's the plug, Martini, as we still wait for one more for IV.
Still trickling in.
The pressure mounting up, Martini. The cash prize pool on the line, the HyperX gear on the line. It is exciting stuff at the end of the day when these teams actually have something to battle for at the top. And we are starting with, despite Ivy having 8 on roster, we're starting into. Oh no, they joined right as we start. Okay. We're okay. It's okay. No hype. No worries.
I was gonna say that's a bold move. Bold move by IVNA to just say, hey, send it. We got the 4. This is good enough.
No. Map 1 is kicking off though, and it is going to be on Factory to open up things with IV on the attack, SV on the defense, and not sure what to expect today, Martini. We just saw IV EU, the 2nd seed, nearly lose to the 7th seed. Like, literally had to win map 2 6-6 in overtime and then win map 3 to bounce back. I'm curious to see what we're going to get here this afternoon with IVNA and SVNA.
You know, we always talk about Factory being what kind of a map it is, and I always say it's a great map to test the skill difference between these two teams here. And the biggest thing I'd mention was SVNA, whether or not they're battle tested. And this is going to be a great introduction for us on the cast to see, can SVNA hold up to a top 8 contender, especially a top 8 like IVNA, who isn't just a top 8 and 2nd seed, but a previous championship winner, by the way. So this is them coming in now for their 2nd season, potentially trying to start their dynasty towards winning in VRML.
Into our first round we go here. The pistol opener. With, gotta swap the teams there on the scoreboard. We do apologize. With, again, SV on the defense. Ivy pushing in with a little bit of some drone work here. We're going to see what this A site push does look like. As Tacey is here, holding things down, but it's a quick entry on the offense, and no flashbangs just yet from the IV side. And as I say that, there's one to the back line. Sleetso pushes forward for an EMP plant, and because of the change in utility effectiveness and the ability for flashbangs to be such a powerful tool, I feel like defenses are allowing EMP plants a little bit more now, as we do see the retake coming in from SV now into the 3v4.
Yeah, flashbang coming out there, taking out Feathereth for the time being, really zoning them out as they are going up the staircase. They're going to have to fight against the 3 players up there. Gizmo getting a lot of shots there, but Berserk going in for the bait, and Cybermilk getting the follow-up. There's a 4K in total coming out there from SV. And what is going on? This looked like it was in the back for IVNA, but that was shut down almost immediately.
I think Berserk hit a double kill through the hatch, which is pretty nuts. That essentially saves them that round because, you know, you look back at that replay, Martin, it just looked like we were going to have an overwhelmed defense trying to retake this objective with 4 alive, 1 hanging on the outside door. But somehow, SV execute real nice on that retake and are up 1-0 here in map 1.
I mean, I'm just impressed by to me, it was such a clean side take by IBNA there, right? They came in, they had incendiaried off both entrances to site, had also the smoke grenade on top of one of the incendiaries, really zone off any shots coming in there. And it was just the most clean plant I've ever seen, honestly, in a hot minute. It was done very well. But the retake by SB is honestly, I think, monumental work. I think in any other situation, if I had done the analysis before they had pushed that staircase and before Berserk got any picks, I would have called it chalk. They had, I think, about a player up on the IBNA side. It looked clean for them. But maybe we might be seeing some clutch potential coming out from SBNA. And as I said earlier, I'm always excited to be surprised because right now, 2nd seed is Ivy, but 7th is SV. But who knows? That might change after this.
I don't know. Ivy's gave him the script, so I guess they're just sitting to it, you know. As Proxy pushes in here, Tacey picks up a double with the Omen outside of B. That's absolutely shutting down Ivy in their entry in the site.
This push is not even starting yet, and they're already stopping here. A little bit of chip damage there on a Swift as Gizmo trying to get potentially some more chip damage on the other players. But here's the thing, EMP is down already for the IB players, and they're already down 2, so they got to retake pretty soon here, picking up the EMP, and I think we are seeing another incendiary. They're now stuck in the warehouse room, as it looks like Co-8 unfortunately does get taken down there by Swift.
Let's see if Gizmo and Swift can work something outside of B. You're seeing on defense, typically, again, like I've been saying, very passive defenses, because you have to avoid, Martini, the incredible power of flashbangs now. These flashbangs are buffed tools as of a week ago, and they essentially slow, blind longer, and give away location to with hit markers to your opponents. So they are a super powerful tool to clear out or at least start entries, and we're seeing them real commonly used. They also were, I think, reduced in price, so they're more affordable, and so it's the flashbang meta, and IV definitely deploying them, but just not catching any SV out because they're so far back on the back line of their defense.
You know, something I did notice yesterday in the playoffs, the attacking teams, especially on a map like Factory, which tends to be defender side, is Berserk already getting picked off on Gizmo. They're maybe picking up a second one, as it looks like the other two are going to be holding their positions for the time being. But I had seen the offense on Factory do so well yesterday. More people, I think, were scoring on their offensive halves than defensive half here. So it was interesting to see that maybe we are kind of switching towards this more offensive meta, as you mentioned, because of that attacker gadget being buffed. And that's a big buff, honestly, as Berserk going in for the wide swing that gets it up on Sleet, so leaving only Swift now. And I mean, a 1v4 here, Knifefire, it's looking tough right now for Ivy.
You can see a little tremble in Berserk there. The heart beating, and can't blame him. It is an intense opening sequence here that maybe SV weren't expecting, for them to be battling back IV up 2-0 map 1 It's an ideal situation for the underdog this afternoon. And we keep saying this because, again, you look at the matchup history, you look at the general seeding, it's IVNA number 2, SVNA number 7 there. And again, it's those early wins that they really piled up. Maybe that's confidence that they've managed to run with, and now up 2-0 against IVNA. I guess it's early, right? We can never count out a squad like Ivy this early in a series. So, just because they've got a nice 2-0 lead on defense, no less, doesn't mean much. Maybe Ivy just need 2 points on the board for the side swap, and then their defensive half will look as strong. That's really sometimes what it comes down to when we're into these super competitive, tight matchups.
Yeah, as we always keep saying, right, especially on Factory, this is them getting wins on the defensive side here. So I do want to give credit to the Ivy players for trying their best here. We'll see, though, when that switch, right? When that switch happens here, if Ivy themselves can't show this same performance, then I would definitely say maybe SV. As I said before, Factory to me is a good skill differentiator. If SV is doing this good on Factory, I might be a little worried for Ivy in the upcoming matches here. But again, we got to see how that second half does go here, as this attack is getting on the way.
Proxy vaults in. Really nice coordination for their entry, but they get picked apart. Utility chipping away at the IV offense. One goes down, I think, to a trip mine there. Berserk catching Ash on the outside and now pushing in through the smoke. Swift on Quest and Proxy on Quest have to drop back as Tacey was just about to work up and pinch on this duo. So it's good for them that they managed to get away from the aggression that is SV right now. But there's 5 alive, and this is a near flawless defensive round in round 3.
I know this might be controversial to say, but this kind of aggressive defense, and I don't really see unless it's Acer playing. And dare I say, SVNA is kind of giving Acer, I think, a run for the money in terms of defensive aggression here. The fact that SV is playing so deep, I think, and not really anchored on these sides. They picked off, 3 players so quick early on in this round here from the Ivy side. And remember, this is second seed. This is IVNA previous champions in the previous season here. I don't know. SP is looking really good. They're cooking. They're cooking some up. I'm curious to see what they pull out, from their, I guess, crock pot here as they're kind of cooking and simmering here. But it's looking good, and I don't want to quite say they're like an Acer defense, but it's reminiscent of an Acer defense right now, as they have such a good stronghold, I think, against Ivy.
Yeah, they are in a solid position right now. Ivy, I think because of the investment in this round, have to eco. They can't really afford to send these 2 rifles in and challenge SV, so they are just going to tuck into this top roof, hold on to their guns, and SVNA will go up 3-0 on their first map. And I gotta wonder what that matchup history looks like, what the record is on a map like Factory. SVNA 69 rounds played with a 55% win rate. IVNA on Factory 76 rounds played with a 64% win rate. So IV, even in a regular season here, with a bit of a stronger win percentage, but in a very similar way to their EU constituent, IV is having a hard time in map 1. In IV EU, they lost 7-0.
Yeah, you said they lost 7-0 on that first map. Maybe crazy parlay here. IV EU, IVNA lose 7-0 on map 1. That would be insane. But I mean, look at the momentum coming out here from SV already 3 rounds in here. And we saw a flawless round on top of that. And I would say, it's one thing to win a round. It's one thing to win a round with 1 or 2 players alive. It's another when you win a round 5 players up, man.
It is demoralizing to some degree, you are really impacting the momentum and the mental of your opponent in a lot of ways, more than anything on those no-kill rounds, because again, you pull up the scoreboard, to your point, Martini, and kills matter. You got to have kills flowing into your team to keep momentum going, to keep the shots on point going into these later rounds, and right now there's not a ton of kills flowing in on the IVNA side.
Yeah, it's definitely a drip fed right now to them very slowly for IVNA. And I'm excited to see what they come back with. I've always called Ivy one of those tenacious teams that just have the mentality to really go through, even when they're going through such a hard time. So even if they failed this map, I would not be shocked if they came back in that second map here. But I expect to see some fight coming out from the Ivy players, because if SPNA can hold them down this well, this might be going the way of them if they're so dominant like this the whole game.
AC on a bit of a roam up top, not going to find much as utility and nades come in. The audio transmitter giving away that this push to B is happening. They'll finally get rid of that transmitter, and a bit of drone work will come in to make sure no trip mines or any sort of other utility are in their way. And after that drone gets picked off, you can see the defense immediately tucking out of B, simply because I think B is super vulnerable to a good flash and an easy flash in a lot of ways. You just dump it to the back line, have it burst in the air, and you've got most of that space covered with the flashbang for you to then push into. So you do see this defense being very cautious on the SV side. And as I say this, Berserk and Kodev both push up, vulnerable to some flashbangs if they do come in. And that's a good nade onto Featherheads, but it only gets half their health.
Yeah, they do have to be careful. They have one Roamer in the back, and maybe they'll get some value in a second. But a lot of flashes coming in. Gizmo and taking out that Roamer. That is going to be a good turn of events for the IB players. That's now going to be a 4v5 here. Berserk getting picked up now. Only 3 left on his defense here. This might be the exact momentum that IB needs to really switch up the whole round, and maybe this first half, as Koetiv, though, comes back and knocks down Sleeto.
Ooh, nice flash. Swift not able to act much off of it, though, and you know, we're seeing these flashbangs come in, but the thing is you got to get aggressive off of them, and that's a risk you got to take if you want to have them be effective, because Kodev keeps getting flashed, but then they're unflashed after they try and push. So Kodev's still alive, fending off the invasion. On the side of Cybermilk, scoops up one. They swing out for Swift on Quest, and we're into the 1v1 that goes the way of SV. There's no hope for IV here.
Oh, Nightfire. That was... If they were going to get a dub, if Ivy were going to get a dub, that was it. That was it here, Nightfire. I mean, that was such a dominant, I think, first half of the round. Ivy getting a good couple picks there. I was like seeing the 1-2 players drop there, and I was thinking, you know what? This is finally the loss we're taking. But SB, I mean, talk about tenacity, talk about resiliency to still have the mental to keep pushing forward, even with having several players down.
Yeah, they are locked in right now, and I gotta wonder what the folks at home are saying with what is currently happening. SVNA in a solid spot right now, and see a bunch of folks tuning in. I appreciate everyone stopping by, hanging out, and enjoying the action, from Jet Acer to Ice Beast, the Gamma 2 Dash, Blue Slayer, Scoober, Jacobs, Rely, TTV, Josiah, Blaze 04, Silo, Your Lord Farquad, Super Andrew, Curve, Snoop. Thank you all for stopping by, hanging out, and enjoying the action this afternoon. If you are new, hit the sub button. This is the VRML Network, and we produce VR esports content at the, so far, I mean, at a record pace, quite frankly. I think last weekend we had the most live streams we've ever had.
Yep.
Some of the most viewers we've had on the network in a long time, pushing over 300 across all of the live streams. It was awesome to see. And we're just going to continue to grow the VR esports space. So come along for the ride.
Yeah, definitely was exciting to see so many different tournaments, so much casting power come out, right? So many people across so many
production team, dude.
It was crazy, man. It was, I'll tell y'all, like, it was crazy being on the production side, just seeing how many people had to sign up for every single thing and get set up, and the amount of people coming out. I love seeing that energy. It feels like a field trip day, right? With everyone just having high energy and excited to see what's gonna happen for, you know, VR esports. But anyways, as we go into this upcoming round here, IB, hopefully they can really change the momentum up, because it's been a challenging last 4 rounds here, as SVNA has just been knocking them down. Dare I say dog walking them the last couple of rounds here, as Koeita taking a little bit of chip damage there, as Tasty now getting to knock down for the count. But that frag coming in for the refrag itself, but Sleeto is going to get that EMP down.
Berserk up the stairs, finds one, is about to pick up a second, but Kodev instead scoops up the kill. EMP does go down. Gizmo and Swift on Quest defending the EMP defuse. 3v2 with Berserk and Cybermilk pushing up to the top floor. Gizmo just outside, ready for a swing, but Swift on Quest just going to do the work, and there's the pinch. Great teamwork to get rid of the stairwell duo, and Featherith is all that's left.
Oh no, they tried to knock it down and hold down the incendiary on that corner, and it might have worked out perfectly for the EMP defuse, but it wasn't enough. They, I think, hit some geometry, unfortunately, and that's going to have to force them into a save in this round here. That might have been a clutch play, but you can't always clutch every single play. And I will say it has been a beautiful run by the SV players. 4 rounds in a row against none other than IBNA, a previous giant.
Oh.
But I don't know. Maybe there's going to be a momentum shift here.
Yeah, and I gotta wonder if we're just looking at pure finances, round stuff like that. Do they need to eco? Why not go for that risky 1v2 push? See if we make some magic happen. A big postseason clutch, because you look at the economy and they're certainly spending quite a bit of cash. So maybe it was smart that they did save, because there's only they're getting every bit of utility. So I guess it does set them up to be a little bit better prepared for this round. At the end of the day, the 1v2 might not have worked out as well, because they would have had to then defuse the EMP, and would they have had time, even if they got the double kill? All of these things you have to factor in a couple seconds, because you don't have time otherwise. So it's
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see if it was the right decision, but it was a decision made, and maybe it'll keep SV up 5-1, or maybe IV will knock down 2 points here on offense.
Yeah, I think definitely always challenging to make those, I think, save calls, right? Do you go for it? Do you risk the 2v1 situation? 1v1, I always kind of think maybe just send it, right? It's not as risky to make that sort of decision, but 2v1, we saw them shut down 2 players already. What's it mean to shut down 1 player coming in alone, right? So it'll be challenging to see, but IVNA finally changing a little bit of momentum, as SV has been just dominating the last 4, almost 5 rounds here. Hopefully, though, we can see some love, as IV finally having a lot more economy on their side.
30 seconds into the first round, and a flank is getting set up on defense. Berserk slowly working their way up the back line here, but offense is pressuring pretty quickly. They're not wasting too much time on breaching up things here. Ash is reading this rotation beautifully and catches Berserk on the back line, pushes IV up 5-4 very early.
That is going to be a harsh loss, I think, for the SVNA players. Already down 1, holding this defense 4 against 5 from this IV pushes. Now already got the breach coming out. Proxy coming in aggressive. Gets the 1 pick already on Featherith. Also Coative at this point, leaving only Cybermilk. Only Cybermilk at this point, as they got the 3K in the end, but it doesn't matter. Swift follows up there. And that's a beautiful pick there. But shout out specifically to Proxy getting the 1-2, I think 3K in the end, and shutting down that round for IVNA.
Now we swap sides, and a nice clean 2 rounds on offense may be all that this IVNA squad ended up needing.
Right.
As they now go to defend, SV have to attack, and they just need 3 points. It's not far out of their reach, Martini, for them to take map 1 against IV here still, but we'll see. A pistol round opener certainly will be a good way to start things off. Coordination going to be a vital element to take down a squad like IV, though, on the attack.
Yeah, they always say 5-1 occurs. I mean, 4-2 is just kind of a good banking, I think, for the IV players as they're coming into this defensive half now for them, right? Because even with that flashbang, buffing the attacking teams just a little bit, this is still factory. This is still a defensive-sided map. We're expecting IV to bank the next couple of rounds here, but I have been pleasantly surprised the last 2 days here, seeing some offensive rounds go the way, for factory maps, which has been shocking for me. I'm used to only defensive map holds winning, but I've been seeing a lot more offensive rounds come in, so maybe we might be surprised by SVNA here.
Foam coming down here. Getting ready for an A-site push, but they are taking their time, not over-aggressing or pushing in too quick. Trying to get everything set up before they make their way in. Berserk, if anything, is keeping very quiet, but Gizmo reads it well. Catches rotation up, and IV off to an early advantage.
Yeah, this advantage is going to be making it a little bit harder for the SVNA players. Not impossible to recover from, but definitely a little bit harder, as they also have to be very mindful of Coative on the back end there and getting this pinch going forward. Looks like the smoke coming out there. Coative does pick up the proxy. That's going to be a big deal, as they now even up at least these player difference here. The Incendiary going out there, but not quite finishing up a Swift, unfortunately, as Sliso does pick up Featherith. And it's also Coative there.
Yeah, it knocks SV down to just 2. Low HP on 2 of the remaining there, but Tacey's not getting any toes. They're not catching any angles. They're not getting any ankles. And ultimately, what's the play? Not really much point in ecoing. But 4-2 at the very least, I would try and drop down to catch these kills that are so close, but they just don't know what we know, Martini. They don't see the 1 HP bars dangling over these two players.
Yeah, I mean, we know exactly. We have the God mode, I would call it, really the omniscient mode, where we can see every single thing, every little thing in their hands and health. And technically, I would consider this almost a 2v1, maybe a 2.5 per v1, considering both Sleetso and Gizmo are on 1 health, which is kind of insane that they both managed to survive that. But you still have Ash, you still have Swift for the follow-up there. It's a little too challenging for Tasty, but in terms of economy, honestly, Nightfire, I might have said send it. If you get 1 or 2 picks, you kind of equal all, good amount of cash in hand there anyways. I mean, they have a Spectral in hand, they have an Incendiary, they're saving about 700 in terms of credit. So it's not nothing, but it's also not, I would say, game changer, I would say, for the upcoming round here. So we'll see if it does come to fruition. But I don't know. This is the IV I expected. This is shutdowns, almost from 2 different rounds here from IV on defense. This is definitely them securing as much as possible when they're defending now.
Yeah, it's dangerous as momentum starts to go onto their side because IV at a top tier, familiar with having to bounce back and hang in there against top opponents. So if SV aren't ready for a IV team to come swinging back after a 4-2 loss in the first half, then they may be caught off guard, because I think that's one thing where experience really matters. The IV squad, familiar with postseason, understanding of the ups and downs of a postseason best of 3, whereas SV just coming in for their first season into the postseason, all of it, which is very impressive, does mean they have a lack of experience here.
Yeah, I mean, we saw SV do well, and I did call this out. It was well on the defensive half here. We've definitely seen the huge switch-ups on a map like Factory, where they finally go on the attacking half, and it just doesn't look as well as it had on that first half. I mean, we got 2 points already from IV on their attacking half, and to me, getting 4-2 on the attacking half is basically a secure way of saying you're probably going to win out, I think, the upcoming half there, because you're going to get defense, probably going to get a couple of secured ones there. Coative knocking out Swift, though. That's going to be a big catch there into this round.
A couple of trip mines catch Coative out. Feathereth gonna grab the EMP off the ground so it's not sitting there. Proxy on Quest pushing up with an Omen and downs the EMP again. Cybermo tries to catch the repack, but not before Proxy on Quest pops to the other side and finds a kill. They look for more as they push out to the B site on the hunt for the full ace. Proxy has to find Tacey on the short corner and can't. Tacey scoops that up. Tacey looks for Sleetso, but Sleetso and Ash both pushing in. And IV are starting to get a little bit faster here, Martini. That was a fast 4-4.
I mean, I don't know if you noticed, Proxy playing so aggressive on that defense, going in, I think, for a rotation on 2 different picks there, deciding to push into that warehouse area. And they did almost pick up a third one, I think, almost pick up a 3rd pick. Unfortunately, it did make it a little hard as they couldn't find both players there in the end here. But SBNA looking a lot less in form, I think, now that Ivy's really picking up the steam here. And I'm getting a little worried for them. I was thinking, hey, are we going to get, a underdog win on map 1? I kind of am excited to see if that can still happen here. But this momentum switch up is really starting to reek of, I think, Ivy winning.
Let's talk Uricon, Martini, because that got buffed as well relatively recently. The spread tightened up, making it a bit more of an effective weapon, but a bit more of a longer range. And so we've seen some some clips already this weekend with the Uricon where multiple kills have come through because of it. 2 shots to the chest, 1 to the head if you're close enough. So very effective tool in a close quarters map like this.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the Uricon used already effectively before, let alone with a buff. I think it's up to teams that are experimental. It's good for the follow-up. I've seen some people just go in, bump a couple shots, hop in and out of cover, and then bump a couple more, right? And that's really the best way to use that Huracan, because it's about going in, shooting fast, because it's still shotgun, right? Anyway, Sleetso starting off to a great start there, knocking out Tasty, as it looks like a lot of chip damage coming there on the Feather at this point, as Ivy already having a great start 30 seconds into this round here.
Exactly what they need is Berserk tries to rotate in. They're going to go up against 2. Gizmo gets flashed, but Sleetso does not. And the duo swings out. Gizmo catches 1. Sleetso still here on the back line alive and a threat. Coda managed to drop down inside. Cybermilk still hasn't vaulted through the window yet, but SV into a 2.5v4.
Yeah, I think they're going for the rotation here. Maybe playing through the hatch. Maybe going for the plan probably on the little cubby area is my guess. The way that they're really, I think, shaped at this point. But it's about a minute and a half left on the clock here. They got to do some action pretty soon here. But 4 players up on the IV side, all fully health, and still some extra syringes in hand here. It's looking a little challenging for SVNA to really come out of this unscathed. But I have been shocked before. I've seen some clutches before here as maybe SVNA again. I would love to see more surprises today.
Ash is tucked in. That's a good flash onto Ash. Coda can't push in, though, as Ash tucks in. And the ensign stops the scanner from going down, so we are stuck. Scanner, whoops, the EMP from going down. We are stuck into a 2.5v4. Finally, EMP goes down, and it prompts some utility to come out. Sleetso catches one through the smoke. And the retake here from defense.
Oh, Sleetso gets a 2 pick me in there, only leaving Feather. Never mind, they shot them through the smoke. I think it was a blind fire, and that was a beautiful play by the IBNA players there. Wait,
You'll love this. Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy work.
Really nice coordination. Sleetso enabled to push up there with the team right behind them. Good counter take, essentially, and then capturing those shots through the smoke, just predicting the rotation really nicely. Puts IV in the lead for the first time in map 1. And I think at this point, Martini commandingly so. SV does have the economy to full buy here, though, because I don't know exactly what they bought into last round. I think it was like a half buy with some orals, but now we're seeing a fully kitted team, so maybe could be going 5-5, could 6-6. Maybe we go OT in map 1 for the NA single elim day 2.
I love seeing a good overtime. You can't beat the overtime, the hype to see who is going to choose a side. And even if that side is advantageous for them, I've seen some teams, lose on a site and then they chose the side and they get the same exact side afterwards. And it's almost demoralizing to see, like, we just lost here. We're going to play this again because it's purely random, right? So you don't really quite know where it's going to go. Gizmo knocking out Tacy already. And this is, again, looking challenging for them as it looks like the Incendiary coming out there really knocking out any momentum being built up by the SBNA players here. IV, again, in good form, only 30 seconds into this round here. I'm getting worried for SBNA. This is going to be, I think, the round if they win a round because of that economy. At least it looking a little more close here.
No trip mines or anything like that to be seen on the SV side. The audio transmitter does give away that the push is coming in at B site, and then you see after that shots through the wall to try and catch damage with a wall bang. Cybermilk should be able to foam that wall and open up B just fine, but once they do, they're in for a fight.
Yeah, I mean, Gizmo getting the shot on the Berserker. They're just going for a line of fires at this point on the walls, and it is working very much in IV's favor here. Now only 3 players left on the SBNA side. Cybermilk a little bit of chip damage in the end here, but it looks like they're going to be making a move pretty soon here. Deep Frag coming in there, not getting any chip damage, leaving still 5 players up. Ash knocking out Coative now. Only a Featherith and Cybermilk, and this momentum is grinding slowly to a halt here as they have to decide whether or not to go for the save or still send it.
Ooh, Featherith with a bit of a chunk damage there on the cross. Gets caught by Gizmo. Cybermilk tries to rotate IVNA. Running away with map number 1 here. The expected, quite frankly, the anticipated team to win this afternoon based off of matchup history, or at least at the very least seeding. In the lead here, 6-4, but SVNA are fighting Martini, and I anticipate them to put up another fight here. The problem is that it's not going to be a fully kitted one because of the way they manage their economy and because of the investment of that last round. You see them now only able to partial buy for what could be, or it is, their do or die map for a round for map 1.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 Orals. We're seeing RCP come out in hand of Tacy. And, I mean, look at IVNA. They are flush with cash, fully bought out, buying as much as they possibly want. They have, clone projectors coming out, too, to have probably, really throw off this attack here whenever they can. And this is IV. This is the IV I expected. This is the IV that I thought I was going to be shocked that they weren't able to pull this performance out here. And you know, you had done the parlay, right, with the two Ivy teams losing 7-0 on map 1. Unfortunately, you would have lost it here, as IVNA has definitely shown case a little bit differently than their EU counterparts here. But SV still putting up a good fight here. This isn't impossible to come back from. We've seen economy rounds won before here, but this momentum is just running away right now for Ivy.
Yep. Going work. Going in here. VRML trying to assess if there's any lurkers up on the top floor, and they won't find any there.
They are gearing up for this breach pretty soon here from the SVNA players. Already 30 seconds left in the round. A lot slower, I think, in terms of pacing this round, as I think they want to make sure to get all the things right here and, you know, make sure everything's set in a row. Their ducks in a row, get their ducks set in a row here. And a lot more conservative of the defense, I think, coming out from the IVNA players. All 4 or 5 onside, or at least extended from the side here. No deep roamers this time around, which I think is working out better in their favor. Sleep taking a little bit of chip damage there, I think, from the frag coming in here. And it looks like they are getting ready pretty soon here.
Good flash. Good flash connects on the 2. The push comes in, but they don't move fast enough off the flashbang. Again, the issue is that they are connecting with their utility, but they're not able to then follow up off of it. That's what you have to do to make the flashbang the most effective. And IV, or better, or with solid defense, are able to drop back off of those flashbangs, tuck in and avoid being targeted.
Yeah, I mean, they were trying to get this EMP plan pretty soon here, but they got knocked down. Koeda taking a shot up on a Gizmo. Feather with the follow-up there on the Proxy, and CISO for the refrag, leaving only 2 versus 3 here. We're going to have to see something come out miraculously, I think, for the SBNA players, as Slitzo now watching the back end. There goes for the swing, Ashton with the refrag, and that is going to be it, as we do see the refrag again from Slitzo in the end.
IVNA taking map number 1 on a pretty nice comeback. Down, I think, 4-0 going into it. Coming back with 2 points at the back half of the first half, and then just kind of riding that momentum into a 7-4 factory win. It makes me wonder how maps 2 and 3 are going to shake up. We already actually know what the second map is. These teams have already decided all of this. Proxy messaged it to us. The bans were Dam and Arctic. Map 1 factory, map 2 is ship. And SVNA will be starting on the attack there. So curious how that one will unfold, and if we're going to have a break, if anyone's going to call a timeout. We'll take a look at the stats. Ship definitely looks like it's SVNA's number 1 map.
Yeah, my guess is this is probably going to be their, I think, trump card to play against IVNA to see if they can really hold us down. We saw a very commendable performance from SVNA against Ivy when they had gotten a 4-2 on that first half of themselves there. So it was looking really good. It's not impossible to start off and maybe get a really good start again for themselves on the ship. But this is still IVNA. This is still a team that they were down 4 and they still came back in the later part of that first half here. Then obviously dominated on that second half as they were defending themselves here. And we saw definitely, I think, dominant rounds there coming from IV. So we'll see if SVNA can do something and shake this up. But I don't know. Don't know.
Yeah, I think we may be going into a timeout as SV drop 2, and I'm likely assuming they're going to either take that timeout and charge or swap in 2 players from their active roster. We look at the rosters for both of these teams, Martini, and they are pretty full. Both squads bolstering 8 players apiece, and with some, I think that helps most in the postseason. You know, when you do need to bring in a fresh perspective or somebody fresh after losing a tough map 1.
Yeah, I always say, like, not just having fresh people, but just the fact that availability is one of the hardest things, I think, for any competitive team. I've talked about it time and time again. You know, when I was helping with the OD cast, we saw some teams not be able to use fill 2 or 3 players. Having subs is probably the best and most important thing, I would say, of any esports team, because as much as you can hope and bank on the fact that maybe some of your top players can always make every single game, that isn't always the case. Maybe they have something come up that weekend, or maybe they're not performing well, or maybe they got sick. Maybe they got just simply sick, and you need someone else to fill in for themselves. And you can't beat having a sub to really fill in and you know, come in whenever that is needed here. And sometimes, to your point, you know, maybe you just need fresh hands on. Maybe, you know, some people are chalk in terms of that mental game. might need to switch out for someone who's a little bit more calm. And sometimes coming in cold can be a good and bad thing, right? You don't have the stress of having played game 1. Granted, you're a little cold. Potentially, you weren't warming up as well before game 2. So we'll see if these switches are better for them.
Yeah, we are going to get into a little bit of a timeout. And so before we take a brief break, I want to give a quick shout out to everybody tuning in. And a reminder to check out VRML Con and pick up your tickets right now, happening July 25th and the 27th. If you buy a ticket, you can register into one of the 5 tournaments that are being held at VRML Con. If 4 or more teams register for these tournaments, then we will have an online qualifier. If not, then the 4 teams that do register will be playing live on stage. You could be one of those 4 teams if you register right now for any one of the 5 tournaments that are being hosted. There's 16 teams that'll qualify through for Orion Drift, and so a lot of opportunity to win what is $20,000 in cash and hardware on the line. HyperX coming in and sponsoring. Giveaways will be going on. We may even do a giveaway for registration. If you register a team for VRML Con, you'll get entered into an exclusive giveaway. So keep your eyes peeled for announcements. Head on over to vrmasterleague.com/VRMLCon for all of the details about the convention so that you can be involved in what is going to be maybe the biggest VR esports event that we have hosted yet, which in turn means it may be the biggest VR esports event because we're the only ones hosting events like this. So something to look forward to, and I definitely recommend you pick up your ticket now. Incredibly affordable for a 3-day event from my perspective, but we'd love to see faces down there. And I mean, Martina, we've talked about it a little bit already, but we do enjoy the con environment. We have that con footage reel showing off the highlights, and yeah, it's a good quality time playing this game on stage and watching people play and meeting your friends in person. I think I lost Martini.
Oh, I thought we were going to ads or something. Sorry. I didn't know. I'm like, are we going to ads or are we still chatting? Sorry about that. Yeah, no. No, con is definitely one of the most exciting things here. I'm excited to see what we're going to, develop in terms of the VR esports space. I always think, to me, one of the coolest and biggest events for VR is going to be that VRML Con right now, because nothing else really stands up to it in terms of VR esports events, per year. I think maybe we get like random ones. I know there's the Duck Land for the EU players. And that's definitely a big one. But on the NA side of things, VRML Con is definitely one of the bigger and events I always think of and keep in mind. Because at this point, I'm thinking, hey, summer comes around, I'm going to be blocking out some time for VRML Con at this point. I cannot imagine not doing that at this point. And that's the same thing I do with all these tournament weekends. I just block it out because I don't want to, stress about having to schedule other stuff on top of these things, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Again, you can get tickets right now. You just got to go to VRMLCon.com or VRMasterleague/VRMLCon. Both of those will send you to the same place. You'll see all the details about the tournaments, how to register, where to sign up, and join the VRMLCon Discord if you want to create a team. You have a cool opportunity where if you are solo and you're attending the event alone, or you don't have a team, you can register as a solo player, and if there are 5 other players signed up as solo players, we'll put you on a team, and you can compete for what could be $5,000 in cash on stage at VRML Con. So a couple of different ways to be able to get involved and play on 2 stages that we're going to be setting up at the convention. And it's going to be a really good time. Should be a couple minutes away from diving into round 2, so we appreciate your patience as we do try to buy time during this timeout, but we are going to cut to a quick intermission, and when we come back, round 2 of this best of 3 will be kicking off, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. It's round 2 of this best of 3 in our top 8 single elimination bracket. IV versus SV, with IV in the lead off of a map 1 victory. My name's Nightfire with 2 E's. I'm joined by my co-caster Martini. And Martini, we're off to an exciting start, to say the least. Map 1, a good back and forth that ends with IV running it back 7-4. And now we go to Ship, a map that statistically doesn't tend to lead into SV's favor, or leads into SV's favor. You look at how many times they've played it, 122 rounds played with a 65% win rate.
That is so crazy. I mean, even look at the IV players. They have so many rounds played, but Ship is almost an outlier for SBNA. For them to have it, towards the top in terms of win round percentage there. This is, I was talking about it, I think, in the pregame analysis in the previous section here. I definitely think this is a trump card. If they can't win here, well, obviously it's best of 3. They're going to be done here, but it definitely cannot come back on any other map, I think, at this point against IVNA. But we saw them perform so well on Factory. I wouldn't be shocked if the trump card might lead to some genuine surprises here. As Coative already starting off to a good start to the round here, knocking out Ash.
Nice little opener, like you said, sets things up for what could be a solid push in. They don't want to allow any sort of picks to come through, so it's best to stay stacked. At least run 2 pair as you push in here. Berserk slowly working up a flank. We'll see if that ends up paying off. But for now, Proxy's still extended out, still looking to defend. And this defense from Ivy has not dropped back much.
Yeah, a lot of blind firing coming out. I think people are just trying to get some chip damage here, maybe get another pick if possible. But at this point, it's going to be a slow but steady attack coming out here from the SBNA players here. Code coming in around the corner, having to get ready for this swing pretty soon here. Gizmo getting a pick there on Tasty. I thought they were getting knocked out by Coative, but now only 3, almost 2.5 players left. Berserk, never mind, knocks out Swift. Coative with the follow-up there, leaving only Gizmo with 1 health, and Sleetso at 3. This is going to be not looking good right now for the Ivy players, as the 4th is now down. Only 1 left, and Cybermilk cleans it up, and it's definitely looking milky out here. I guess they're creamy. I'm not sure what the follow-up is for that.
It's a green matrixy milk, the cyber milk.
Oh, cyber milk, you're right. Yeah, it's like a green. Oh, that just sounds like moldy milk. That just sounds like milk gone bad. Oh.
Certainly not gone bad, because they picked up a couple of good kills there, and SV in the lead early. But it's the pistol round, and we've seen this before, haven't we? IV,
yeah.
No strangers to bouncing back, no strangers to scraping up round wins, and who knows what happens when we swap sides. So it's early, at least, in this first half, but SV setup certainly strong. Let's see if they can tack on a second offensive point. That's the real question. IV really need to bounce back here, but it's a pretty big eco coming in from them here in round 2.
Yeah, big investment on the SV side here. We're seeing not just smaller investments like the Omen, like the Viper, but we're seeing huge ones like the Hero Buy coming out there from Berserk. I mean, a whole Vezin coming out here on round 2 is a big deal, right? We know economy changes have changed a lot in terms of how people play these first couple rounds here. So I'm surprised they're able to go so aggressive, but Ivy playing a lot more conservative. Only 2 risky buys, I would say. So we'll see if this does pay off, because it's a huge gamble coming in from the SBNA players here.
About to dive into the action quite literally as Feathereth gets picked up. Cyber Milk comes flying in, and a kill coming through. Proxy on quest with a double. Swift on quest suddenly alone. Where did the Ivy defense go? They all got scooped up, playing an aggressive forward setup with their pistols.
Yeah, they got melted, I think, in the span of 30 seconds. 4 players, 2 on the SV side getting knocked down for the count here, but leaving only Swift on quest with a Spectral against, let's see, 2 Omens, a Vezin here. It's looking very risky. Never mind, they pick up a pick there, but Berserk for the refrag, and that's going to be knocking IV down another round here. But to your point, we've seen IV come back. They came back from a 4-0 differential there with 4-2 in that first half, in that first map here, and obviously they won that one out here. So I wouldn't be shocked if Ivy can still come out of this. But for SBNA, I could definitely tell they played this map many times.
Yeah, they're comfortable. They're in their comfort zone, so to speak. But I think you can read a lot into a team's mentality, into a strategy, by looking at the economy. And from my perspective, what they're trying to do on the IV side is stack up 2 or 3 rounds maybe with fully kitted with a fully kitted squad, right? Because maybe they feel they only need 2 or 3 rounds on defense in order to be as effective on ship. When it comes to the side swap, their offense very likely going to be as strong as it was on the other map. They are obviously a coordinated squad. They've been playing together for a while. So you do expect, especially on a map like ship where they've played it for a season or 2 now, that they'll be a bit comfortable. And when it comes onto that attacking side, even now on defense, kind of being uprooted by SV, but they've got a plan, it feels like, with their economy.
Yeah, we're seeing Arrows come out in form. We're seeing one full buy from Proxy there, which, an MVP standout player for sure on Ivy. We saw aggressive defensive plays in the previous map there that came out to so much value here. But SV, this momentum is really kicking up, and that's what I'm noticing, right? When they get the momentum, they run with it. Yeah. And I'm wondering, do they have the mental, though, to lose a round and be able to come back from that? And that's something we didn't quite see on map 1. I think literally when they lost that map, that first round that they had lost, I think essentially Ivy had just had a 7-win streak there at that point, which is definitely insane to see him come out from them. But a lot of utility coming out here from the SV players, not quite landing anywhere. But Ash does pick up a kill there on Feathereth. Gets him a second K on Coative. Can they get the third? They get the third on Tracy, but Berserk there for the refrag.
That was devastating. The Omen on the front line, something that I don't even think they expected to find too many kills, because you have the rifles on the back line here. Yep. Ends up picking a triple.
Yeah, definitely scary to see from Ivy, but this is an aggressive defense. We've seen them before. We've seen it from players like Proxy. I'm not shocked another player is able to pull this out from their back pocket, and a 2v3 is not going to be an ideal scenario for the SV players, but that economy difference is going to help them just a tad bit, as they're going to be having that Marui and a Vezin in a hand. They got to play this right, though, with Proxy leaning over, trying to get some chip damage. They're not quite landing any of those shots. And Gizmo watching the back, and just in case they go for the rotate here, as Berserk trying to take on Proxy 101. No, they can't do it, as both players getting shot down there, and that's going to be giving IB one of the first round wins on this map.
Take another look at the triple kill from Ash here. They just sneak past everyone on offense and just kind of keep ping-ponging back and forth, finding kill after kill. Not an easy thing to do, and really just sometimes requires a little bit of luck, which maybe they got there on their timing. But overall, great shots in the Omen coming alive. 3 SMG kills is even better because it gives them more cash too. So IV definitely hurt there, but they're able to full buy because of the round win. And SV, it's I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you do here, right? It's a partial buy. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, SV is tough, right? They have a couple partial buys here. Did they go for an eco? Maybe come in on the upcoming round. I mean, IV's back in full form for the most part. I think 5 full buys coming out here. So SV has to either commit and get these weird half or risky buys, or go for the, I think, saving for the upcoming round. And I've definitely seen the big economy changes. Differences between these two teams. Ivy tends to play more conservative, just really lean into getting those rifles sooner than later. And we're seeing a lot more half buys, a lot of SMGs and stuff coming out from SVNA. I think maybe banking that they'll just win out that round anyways.
Here we go. Into round 4. The drop down the outside of A. Cybermilk running the drone to try and assess if there's any flankers. Anyone coming up the stairs? Anyone from bottom floor? At the end of the day, it is going to be a pretty stacked IV defense on the outside of A site.
Yeah, Frag going in there. Coative picking up Proxy. That's going to be a big pick there, leaving only 4 left on his defense right now. And it looks like this attack is coming into fruition. But the Incendiary just misses. Coative follow-up. So many shots being traded here. Coative gets the pick there. Tries to go for the switch on the Swift there. Doesn't get it, but that EMP is planted. That's going to be a big deal for this retake now, coming out from Swift in his 1v2. And you have to watch out for Berserk on the back end there. And Feathereth on the opposite angle here. It's got to be played perfectly by Swift.
They take the right one too. They can definitely get this, but they got to take this fight. And Swift catches the first one. Feather is still alive on the back line, and the EMP ticking down. They have to push. They have to get this kill. And they're not baiting Feathereth out. Feathereth is going to stay tucked down. They're not going to challenge for the fight. EMP not going to get defused. And Swift is going to eco. They're going to keep their Marui for the next round. They've done their damage, I suppose. And although they haven't managed to win the round, they Did take out several SV and impact that overall economy. If anything, SV are in a tough spot right now. They're going to get win money, and it's quite a bit, so I guess they're okay on the full buy, but they're not going to have a whole lot on the backup after it.
I mean, check out the Ivy side. All they have really is Swift to do some extra buys. But I got to give a shout out. I mean, that is nerves of steel, I think, coming out from Feathereth, right? You're literally being shot at by a Swift, but still not reacting. And that was enough. Swift had probably imagined if I shoot at that corner and I see someone dip out, this is probably, where they're at. But they couldn't figure out where they're going to go, and they figured I'd rather just save the gun guaranteed in my hand versus going in and potentially figuring out that there's somewhere else on the site there. So nerves of steel from Feathereth. I mean, wow, that was a chicken play almost, right? I think Swift, if they had seen them come out, it might have looked a little different because they picked up that first kill already against that SV player.
SV are in the lead again. A place we've been in and are familiar with. So I gotta wonder if SV are maybe still feeling the pressure here, because even after this, if they can go 5-1 would be ideal, but I feel a 4-2 coming. I think IV have another round in them.
Yeah, 4-2, I would not be shocked if we saw that come out here. But SV has been surprising me, honestly, on a ship. It's definitely feeling more like their map here. As Kuwait have already knocking out Ash for the count here. These early round picks have been vital for, I think, SV keeping this momentum as Tasty picks up another Kuwait with the second one there, leaving only Swift left on the A side if they can retake that soon.
They are pushing in fast to this A site right here. Swift on Quest does swing out with the Marui to find one. Feathereth comes flying in. Swift on Quest finds two. Can't pick up the triple kill, but does take down several on SV to put Gizmo into a 1v2 opportunity. But with the MP going down, the retake going to become exceptionally difficult.
We saw this 1-2 retake already happen from IVNA. It almost worked out in the previous round, and maybe Gizmo can do something just a little bit different than Swift here. But I will say Swift definitely a standout player who has been getting several picks there. Kuwait though, just seeing the gun barely peeking through the wall there, allowing them to follow up that so quickly.
Yeah, a very solid job from the SV squad. They are locked in right now. IV, like I said, maybe only going to be able to pick up two. They may only get one on defense. And I got to wonder what the side swap's going to look like. Is IV really going to be able to put up a 5-1 half comparative to what SV have done here on the attack?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing this economy going to be on the side of SBNA right now. We're seeing so many RCPs. We're seeing all rails come out from IV. They know it's a full buy round. They got to just send it and really hope for the best here. We saw them do it, though, on map 1. Get that 4-2 and come back from here. But I don't know. I'm not sure if something's in the air, Nightfire. Let me know if I'm smelling something different. But it might be an SBNA win, honestly. I'm smelling something.
I'm smelling what you're stepping in, Martini, and I think it could be an SV win indeed, as we do get ready for round 6. The first half, at least, very likely will be going to SV, but is it going to be 4-2 or 5-1? That's the question. From there, we side swap, reset economies, and IV get a chance at the attack and maybe a chance to bounce back on ship.
Yes, we'll see how they do bounce back here. So much utility coming out here already on the top. I just see a huge stack of utility from SV because they have so much cash from their last couple wins here. Koeda, they're trying to see if they get some blind fires up on Proxy. They're almost locking them down for the count, down to 13 health here. But Sleetstone's going to be playing that roaming and roll. We'll see if they can get some value out of this.
Drone work there that does get picked up. So catches Feathereth. IV somehow in the advantage at the start of this. A massive early pick that sets them up for a 4v5 and makes things that much more difficult for SV.
Yeah, the floor is lava. EMP is down. They got to come recover it and maybe deal with that run because they're not quite sure if it's still going to be back here. And they are down a whole player. But check this out. IV, 13 health on Proxy, no syringes. They have to hold us down as best as possible. Otherwise, this might be going the way of SBNA, but this is a lot of back and forth here. I think it's still anyone's game right now.
Gizmo gets flashed. That's to be info for Tasty, who does want to look over here, but Gizmo's staying tucked in. They're not extending out. They're just waiting for this push to come through, and I'm not sure exactly what they're waiting for. Maybe one player to die, because right now it's a flawless defense.
I think Gizmo playing so conservative, playing very careful, just in case they mess up here. Cybermill picking up Proxy there. I think Gizmo maybe is waiting for them to be looking away from the corner here. That's played perfectly. Cyber, though, picks up the refrag there, leaving no Koatum gets the pick up. Sleepso with the refrag. Oh, and that goes away by VNA there. And it was a back and forth round here. For a split second, I thought SBNA might be able to have made something happen. But, I mean, Ivy just a slow march towards victory there.
This is a familiar territory, Martini. 4-2 right now, and exactly how map 1 went for SVNA. They won their first half 4-2, then a side swap came, and IVNA put up 5 unanswered points in a row to win the map 7-4. So, does it happen again is the question that's got to be on SV's mind, and that may impact your mental. That may impact your focus, thinking, gee, I hope we don't lose like we did last map.
Yeah, it's hard to look at this and not imagine map 1 happening again. I mean, especially against a team like IVNA, who we've seen, again, resiliency, tenacity, just making things work out even when it wasn't working out. Even if you have 4 rounds in a row on your back there, you can still come back on that 5th round here. And sometimes a momentum switch up is all they really needed in the end here. But I will say again, SBNA chose this map. They know what they were doing. They were cooking on the attacking half. We'll see if they can cook now on this defensive half here as Ivy is getting set up for this attack onto these A and B sides pretty soon here on floor 1.
Doing a little bit of drone work, assess the situation before then advancing in, pushing in, and trying to overtake outside A site. The drone a vital element in understanding where your defensive opponent is, but doesn't get too far, then yeah, you kind of still going in blind. So Casey definitely standing up forward and aggressive here. Eventually will drop back. 5v4, make it a 5v3, advantage IV.
Yeah, 5v3 already here as they make this attack into site. Casey trying to get some picks that are not quite working out in their favor as they do get the 1 pick there, but they can't as they get refragged themselves here, leaving only Feathereth and Cybermilk for the follow-up, and Gizmo now watching that plan just in case things just don't quite work out in their favor as Cybermilk going out for a potential peek here, and Feathereth. They do both get a pick there in the end, but it isn't quite in their favor as IVNA able to finish that one up here. I think that aggressive defense coming out from SBNA, I think 2 players kind of playing those off roaming roles, getting picked up a little too early, and it allowed that 3v5 to develop for them.
Maybe we're seeing it again where this SV squad feels confident coming off of a 4-2 half and carries that into the pistol round, the next few rounds, and ends up overconfident, you know, extending too far on the hunt for too much of a pick, too much of a rotation. It's really important to stay disciplined when you get into the postseason phase, and a team like IV would know that best.
Yeah, I mean, I saw SBNA, I think, play very aggressive on some of their defensive plays on map 1. Now even map 2 here, we saw them, I think, 1-2 players kind of extended from the site, and it's been a mixed bag, I gotta say. I've seen them do well. I mean, there's that one round, I think I alluded to them being similar to Acer in their aggressive defense.
Seriously.
It can work out in their favor, but it's not consistent enough against Ivy. I'm not sure if it's worth doing, honestly, if it's not consistent enough.
2 more action we go. Shout out to everyone tuning in. Thank you all for stopping by. We appreciate the support. It means a lot to us. There's a huge crowd hanging out and watching this Breacher's single elim. And we do it for you, fine folk. We do appreciate it.
As we do again set up for this coming into this upcoming round here. Again, Berserk playing that aggressive defender on the back there. Maybe getting a pick. No, already getting knocked down by Ash. And that's what I'm talking about. That aggressive defense is just not working out for SV consistently. Here's Casey gets a pick up, but that refrag is going to be knocking him down for the count, leaving this 3-4 for the SV players.
Everyone getting aggressive, and it's because it's a partial buy eco round coming in from SV here after losing their opening pistol round. What a good flash to the back line, but a nice frag back, and then a swing in from Ash and Swift Dawn Quest, pinching the duo on the back line, and Swift Dawn Quest celebrating with some dances as they go into a 4-4 map 2, tie things up, looking to repeat again what they did in map 1 and win here, ending this series in 2 maps.
Yeah, IB did invest a lot that round. I don't even know if their economy had so much in terms of all rails, a couple SMGs there. SB looking a little more conservative. So I was expecting them to win that one out, but also the coordination. They had thrown in those flashes. It was a beautiful taking of the site there. I'm getting a little nervous now for SBNA. This is going to be a critical round, right? Can they keep the lead on their side, or are they going to allow Ivy to get finally a lead, and then maybe run with it like they had done it already on map 1?
Question marks up in the air today, and that's why we tune in to the postseason to see if we are going to get an upset, if we are going to get the number 7 seed in the regular season, SVNA beating out IVNA here. If there ever was a map to do it, like we've said, Martini, it's this one for SV. They have the upper hand statistically, but IV still well practiced and prepared, giving them a hard time. Yeah,
this is going to be a do or die, right? Best of 3, so they already won. IV already winning map 1, winning map 2 here. It's going to be the nail in the coffin, unfortunately, for the SBNA team in these playoffs here. But I hope we can see a map 3. I want to see a map 3, Knifefire. You know I love a good map 3. You can't beat that kind of action here. But that means SBNA has to pull out all the stops here and shut down IB as best as they can.
Not going to be an easy effort at the end of the day. Be tucking in, though, and not overextending this time on defense, making sure they are at back line and avoiding any early picks. So will it work? Who knows? Because once they open up this wall, they'll still have a bunch of utility to deploy into the objective space, which could be dangerous.
And Berserk down for the count. It's almost like they can read them perfectly. Tasty there down for the count. These roaming plays have just been killing SB's momentum. Cybermilk, though, following up on Ash there. Coative taking a little bit of chip damage here from Proxy. Proxy follow up with the 2K, but Slito there to help out and kind of tailgate their friend as they are pushing forward here. And this is what I'm saying, SBNA, I could see glimpses of it working. I think they're playing too aggressive now, and when I think when you see the aggression isn't working, you gotta pull back, right? When we see them anchored on site, it's working. Those anchors from the SBNA players, they're getting the picks. Cybermilk, holding it back on site, they're getting those picks when they are playing it there. And when they're doing these aggressive defensive holds, they're getting knocked out so early in the round. We're seeing Berserk get knocked down. We're seeing Tasty get knocked down so quick.
We could be on to our next best of 3 soon enough, Martini. A couple of rounds to go for IVNA, 2 to be precise. And they've got themselves a Series W and an advancement on to the semifinals, where they will go up against the winner of our next best of 3, which is going to be Fusion versus Valiance. That game, again, coming up immediately after this one. And the winner of Fusion versus Valiance will be going up against the winner of this series, which at this point seems to be trending IVNA. But, hey, it's still early days. Definitely an opportunity and a big buy here for SV to push this 5-5.
I saw someone in the chat say SV locks in for 4 rounds, and then they lose from that point forward. And, that definitely seems like the trend that we're seeing in map 1 now, maybe potentially even map 2. But again, I always keep saying this. I want to be surprised by these teams. I want to see them do something against IVNA. We've seen them make IVNA bleed for 8 total rounds now, maybe a couple more here to really shut things down. I mean, we're seeing some adjustments. Berserk now playing a little more conservative, at least a little closer to the side, not playing so aggressive. But it's with the Huracan in hand here. They got to play it perfectly, otherwise we might be going down for the count.
Swift on Quest being extra cautious about their entry, making sure there's no lurkers up on this top floor as they flash in, and Kotiv goes down. This is a pretty aggressive defensive setup here. As the Huracan comes out from Berserk, they'll quickly scoop that up. Tasty and Cybermilk still alive and fending things off. A flashbang comes in, but doesn't catch Cybermilk. The bullet through the head from Ash will, though. As only one's left alive, and it's Tasty in a 1v3. IV want to take this to map and series point.
Tasty, 2 health in hand, 3 IV players. If I were a betting man, Knifefire, I think I might be expecting IVNA to really come out of this one unscathed. I'd be shocked if they can pick up maybe, just maybe, one of these players here. But again, they got to play this perfectly, hit those headshots as perfectly as possible here, as Ash is going to be the one knocking that one down for the count here, letting 3 of those IV players move on to the upcoming round. This is going to be overtime round here at this point, 6-4. SVNA, that's what I'm saying. Last round, they got those early round picks that look so good. And then you have Berserk using an Urcon at a weird distance, and it's just like, what's going on here? I get it. The Urcon was buffed a little bit, but should you be running that right now? I don't know.
You say that, and then all of a sudden a quadra kill with one that clutches around could be the difference in your preference.
I want that to happen, Nightfire. I want that to happen. That's a beautiful clip,
It certainly is, and yeah, maybe it will, maybe it won't. Either way, IV take it to series point here for map number 2. A 4-7 victory on Factory after coming back the exact same way they're coming back here on Ship. The side swap, the pistol win, leading into multiple rounds, snowballing into a map victory. It's something that SV just aren't able to really weather. They're not able to battle back from, and at this point, they got to just kind of focus on every round, one round at a time. They can't be thinking about their season being over with if they lose here.
Now, this is the time to lock in. We've seen them lock in for 8 rounds in total between these 2 maps here. Doesn't mean they can't get just a couple more. Let's see it overtime today. I want to see it overtime in a Season 4 playoffs. Please, we haven't seen it yet. And I want to see, be surprised. Berserk finally getting a pick off, but still getting refragged there in the end. So, looking a little bit better this round, though. Gizmo Ash following up that so soon. I don't know, Nightfire.
Yeah, not looking good here as only one's left alive. It's Cybermilk and it's IV. Advancing on to the semifinals, steamrolling through their final round and looking very good pushing into the semifinals. I think at this pace, we're maybe destined for an Acer IV grand finals at this point. Acer and Valor duking it out in the semifinals next weekend, Saturday, same time, same place, 3 p.m. PST on the VRML network. The winner here, IVNA, will move on to fight the winner of Fusion and Valiance, which is our next best of 3 coming up in roughly 10 to 15 minutes. We're going to give teams some time to prepare their lobby, get ready and set up, and we're going to take a brief break. But before we do, one final thing to mention. You've heard it before. We'll talk about it again. I gotta keep saying it over and over and over again. Get ready for VRML Con, July 25th to the 27th. You can pick up tickets right now to our 3rd in-person event by going to vrmasterleague.com/VRMLCon. A ticket allows you to enter into one of 5 tournaments. And each tournament with $5,000 on the line, except for Onward, for a total of 20 grand in cash and hardware coming in, with HyperX sponsoring prize pools for winning teams, and we're doing giveaways at the con. So even if you don't play, there's a chance you're going to get something if you attend. It's going to be a huge event, if not our biggest one we've ever held so far. We've done 2 of these with both VRML Con 2023 and 24, which we'll show some highlights from here. An awesome thing to tune into and be a part of. And like I said, we're doing all sorts of opportunities where if you're a solo ticket buyer and you don't have a team that you're going to be able to put together within the next couple of weeks to sign up for these qualifiers, you can enter as a solo player. We'll match you with 5 other solo players and you'll create a team and be entered in to the qualifiers. If 4 teams or more sign up for the qualifiers, we'll host an online one. If they don't, then you'll just be one of the teams that goes to the con to play live on stage for 5 grand in cash. It's a really cool opportunity. If you like to do VR esports, I highly recommend that you check it out. And it's very unique in comparison to previous seasons, where this time it's a pay-your-way tournament. If you buy a ticket and you make your way to the con, there's a good chance you're going to be on that stage playing for cash prizing, which pretty unique opportunity in the VR esports space, if not the first time we've ever done something like this.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how these tournaments pan out. It's going to be a little differently. I think it's more in line, though, with what traditional esports does. I think a lot of people talk about how we kind of have to follow and see what other organizations do. And ones that have been established for so long, right? Esports as a whole, right, has been going around for, I got to say, going on 25, almost 30 years now into making VR esports. So we're still cooking here. We're still in our infancy and still growing up to become a teenager here. But hey, this is being a part of history. That's how I look at it. But all these teams, all of us here are making history for VR esports, and I'm excited to see how that develops on stage live.
And we got medals that will be given away to champions. Those will be something you'll keep forever. I've got my medals dangling somewhere behind me or in front of me. I can't quite remember. But they're awesome prizing. At the end of the day, it's something to be a part of if you can attend. That being said, we're going to take a quick break, get ready for our next best of 3, our last best of 3 of the weekend, but not of the season. We still have more semifinals and grand finals next weekend, so subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up button, Stick around for more NA action. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. back, everybody, to the Breachers VRML Season 4 NA Top 8 Single Elimination Day 2 bracket. My name's Nightfire with 2 E's, my co-caster Martini, as we rejoin you for our second best of 3 and our last best of 3 of the weekend. Winner here goes up against IVNA, who just won their best of 3 in 2 maps. And Martini, how are we feeling? Fusion versus Valiance, the number 3 seed versus the number 6.
You know, I always love doing my pregame analysis, seeing what teams have performed well, what they haven't. Fusion themselves only losing to Acer, Ling, and Valor. They've been other teams, though, like IVNA, Valiance, already lost to Fusion, I believe, in this matchup before. So you can see they're 18 and 15. They did have a rough start to the season and getting several losses. They did start picking themselves a little bit later on, though. But I will say most of their top 8 games, you know, games that they played against top 8 teams, have been games they've lost. And this is something similar that I noticed with SBNA. Is this team as battle-tested this season against the top 8? I mean, I look at the team history, it says otherwise. I've seen great performances from the players on the team from Valiance, but I'm saying, Valiance themselves here, I think previously Eternity, not looking as good in terms of their top 8 placements here. We'll see how they do play. They obviously plays top 6 here, but they've lost several times before to other top 8 teams, and again, they lost to Fusion already. I mean, this is technically their rematch, and dare I say, a grudge match to see if they can come back and showcase that, hey, that was a fluke. But Fusion, not a team to be messing with, right? Number 3.
No. Yeah, and playing well over the course of the regular season. We'll see who is going to come out on top in our final best of 3 of the weekend in this single elimination bracket. The loser here goes home, their season over with. The winner advancing on to the semifinals for a chance at cash prizing and hardware from HyperX. The in-game skin already earned, Martini, but there's a lot on the line, and the pressure is starting to get to the backs of these players as we get in to our first round on Factory. Again, we go back to a familiar place. Factory, a map that's been in this game for a long time, and with both of these teams touting past season experience, I anticipate us to see pretty meta, really down to execution plays coming out here this afternoon.
Yeah, I always talk about the bread and butter of Breachers. I've said that, I mean, I think 1,000 times at this point, but I always talk about that when I'm talking about maps like Factory, maps like Hideout, because they're a great map at basically showcasing which team is the technically better team, which one can attack better, which one can defend better, because again, people always say it, but these maps almost have been figured out. I've been surprised before, but it just showcases the difference between two teams because they have so much history and experience on these maps. There's no, trump card like we had seen with Ship on the previous matchup there, where one team's just a little bit more experienced and better at it.
Looking at folks in chat asking about merch. Definitely one thing I would like to talk about more, but we'll discuss it in the in-between. We have some awesome, I think the best merch we've made yet for VRML Con Phoenix. It's going to be pretty sick. You're going to want to get your shirt. You're going to want to be ready to come in and pick that up. We'll have a lot of them, and we'll have other merch booths live as well, but we'll get into that in a little bit as we do get into the action here. Finally, the pistol round unfurling as Fusion squad looking to push in outside of A.
Yeah, a lot of Incendiaries coming out here to really deny any taking of space here. Link's trying to lean in. Maybe pick up Curve there. Weirdo on the back end, though, does get refragged in the end. Ninja Tim going in for the swing here. Does get picked up from the hatch. That's a beautiful hatch play. And Curve knocking down another one for the count here. J-Bro with the follow-up. The Ace with the follow-up. Hero, Kai with the follow-up there. But there's just so much refragging and trading happening here. It's going back and forth, head for head.
Yeah, we could be in for a couple of 6-6 maps, quite frankly, as the flashbang to the backline doesn't catch J-Bro, but 2 bullets to the head certainly do. And Fusion, and Hero push their team up. Oops, I got to swap squads there. We apologize. Fusion up 1-0 against Valiance.
That was good. I mean, sorry, that was just a great matchup from both sides there. Fusion coming in hot there. I thought they had this in the bag. Beautiful placements with those Incendiaries really denying space for those Valiance player here. But Valiance, again, had a response for sure here. And I love to see that, but I will say that was Valiance on the defensive half. Remember, you want to see Valiance come out here with as many defensive halves points as possible, because this is when technically they have the advantage here. So Fusion, if they can get a couple more in the pocket, you know, like we had seen on the previous matchup, if they can get a 4-2, to me that's advantageous for them going into their defensive half. If honestly, if Fusion gets any more than 2 wins, I'm gonna just chalk it and say I think they got it locked in for the second half.
Into round 2, and I got to agree with you on that one, Martini. Into round 2 we go here. Fusion on a bit of a nice opener, but hey, pistol round, hard to determine how series is going to go based on that. As Weirdo preps some utility, they'll back off as the drone comes in.
Yeah, they are getting set up here for this attack. I'm going to do storage pretty soon here. Some utility coming out, not quite getting any chip damage though, or any value for the Valiance player here, but they are ramping up pretty soon here, and I'm sure they do want to get some picks pretty soon.
I'm just playing a nice passive entry, not getting overextending, not pushing in too hard to be nervous of getting, you know, audio transmitters or trip mines. And as I say, that curve just kind of barrels in here, gets an insight to the back line, fights up through Weirdo, but J-Bro finds the refrag.
Yeah, they did a little 180 fight there. Definitely interesting to see. Incendiary gonna be knocking out Kai down for the count there. Throws the EMP in a last-ditch effort to throw it into Mac's hand here. But it's gonna be a great start right now for the Valiant players, as they are gonna be up 1 player at the very least here. A lot of omens in hand. So definitely a big buy round, but Fusion themselves buying in with Hero being the hero buy here, funny enough, with the Vezin and the Syringe.
Nice flash to the back line. Going to catch the ace, but not J-Bro, who's still holding things down. So the push doesn't come in. Hero does catch the ace. The Taurus versus Vezin. Hero takes some big damage, but will get the heal. And into the 3v3 now. 3 omens versus a rifle and pistols. No, a couple of SMGs, though. They've picked them up off of down teammates or their opponents.
Yeah, we're seeing a great hold right now by the Valiant players. J-Bro, Lynx, Ninja Tim really held up in their corners. Dare I say, maybe they should do a switch up. Never mind, Hero knocking out Lynx for the count. Matt goes for the swing, gets the follow-up, though, for Hero, as Ninja Tim gets picked up by Hero, and that is a beautiful example of what to do when you have a Hero buy.
How many kills is it on Hero? 6. Yeah, you give your standout shooter a weapon when they're feeling good, and oftentimes momentum is everything. As Hero kind of runs away with it a little bit there. Rifle in hand. A clean 2 rounds, and again, they're going to be able to maintain that rifle through to this round. Maybe throw another rifle buy, 2 actually, rifle buys coming in. And in the meantime, in comparison, you look at the Valiant's economy, they're forced into just SMGs for the second time here in round 3, because they have not put a whole lot of kills up on the board either.
Yeah, I think Valiant's probably expecting or hoping to get something out of that previous round. They're not quite working out in their favor, as Fusion now getting not 1 but 2 attacking round wins. And as I was talking about earlier, this is the time for Valiant to really maximize the amount of round wins they can get, because they're on their advantage side. They have the defensive half right now. They want to get as many as possible. I think at this point, they got to get the next 4, because it's looking riskier and riskier the more Fusion can get on these attacking half.
Break the hatch, send the drone, observe where things are placed. They'll ping J-Bro, hopefully work them off of their position, and oh, now I'm flying a drone. That's a weird perspective. Bug that I've never had happen before. Hopefully we can get rid of it. Yeah, once they shot down the drone, it went away, thankfully. Woo, that was odd. Anyway, back into the action. A drone dead, but nobody left. Oh, now Max picking up 1. A quick trade in the smoke. Everyone blind. J-Bro pops out to catch curve.
That is not going to be great right now for the Fusion players, but that doesn't mean they can't come back here. Kai going in for the swing as they're trying to pick up another couple players here. I'm surprised. Looks like A-side is covered. Someone should be screaming at Kai, saying that we have A-side covered. Come in here, go for the plan, as they do throw it over to the Cubby, but no one is there to follow up. What is going on the Fusion side here? Ninja Tim going in for the walk, gets picked up by Hero in the end, leaving only 2 left on the Valiant side.
Hero will eventually peek the short corner. The ace catches the headshot with the Taurus. They can pick up a Vezin, but they'll instead challenge with the Taurus, and Fuse catches the headshot with the Marui. Fusion up 3-0 out the gate here. A strong opener, but like we've said, I mean, I don't know, again, what sort of side cadence we're setting here, right? Like maybe it's going to be a 4-2 offensive half when we swap sides, and you know, this Valiant's offense will look really good. But right now, their defense, they really, like you said, need to get some points on the board. So they're going to full buy here into round 4. That's how they've managed the economy to this point, and maybe contest what is still a fully kitted Fusion offense.
Yeah, Fusion's looking amazing. I mean, they have enough money. I think they could have been able to pick up another gun, maybe potentially for a Mac there, but they're probably just saying, hey, let's send it. We have the Omen. We've been killing it, by the way, on the attacking half here. Why not keep going and see what we can do here? So we'll see if anything does change up right now for the Valiant's player. It doesn't look great, which is crazy, right? This is when they need those points. This is when they should be doing these things. This is when they should be doing the best possible performance they have. We're just not quite seeing that, unfortunately, for Valiants.
Here we go into the action. Another drone to assess if there's any roamers up on this top floor. But ultimately, won't find much. Lynx kind of backing off as that drone comes out. Weirdo getting some ankle damage from that hatch, but so is Curve. And we'll just kind of wait to see how this Fusion offense is going to work through to this A site.
Yeah, they're really trying to hold them down for now. Only chip damage being traded between Weirdo and a Curve at this point. They are getting set up pretty soon here. A little bit of smoke to really deny that vision. Weirdo, though, getting picked up by Curve, as only 4 remaining now on the Valiant side. Again, they can still recover from this, but this is not going to be a good start for their second half of this round. Hero picking up another one on Ninja Tip,
Really
getting
nice
a second
flash.
pick there. Almost a third.
Fusion absolutely steamrolling in to A site, and all that's left is a top floor defender in Lynx on the roam, who does pick up 2 and is going to look for more. Camera bugs, we apologize there. Hero and Lynx, the duo to fight. EMP going down as Curve and Mag dance in celebration for planting the EMP over at B.
Yeah, this is a beautiful play. They knew Lynx was on that corner here. Hero goes in for the swing. They're going ring around the Rosie, but Hero finishes that one out, as they have been doing such a good standout performance in this game. I mean, Hero specifically, I'm just pulling it out right now. 12-1. 12-1. If someone deserves a bonus this game, it's probably Hero.
I think someone in chat said, can we just stay on Curve's perspective? I argue we stay on Heroes, because they are scooping up the lion's share of the kills in this lobby, doubling the kill leader on Valiance and then some, as J-Bro has 5 over on that Valiant side. In comparison, obviously, on their team, too, everyone only with 2 kills, and to your point, sometimes there's just nobody to shoot when someone like Hero is finding everybody else.
I mean, when Hero's running in, and one of those things, I call them great entry fraggers. They're entering a site, fragging out, and picking up all these kills here. And definitely a beautiful one from Hero here, just taking areas time and time again, as we're seeing with 12 picks, and it's been now 4 rounds in total, and only dying one of those rounds. It's kind of insane work, but that's exactly what you want in your entry fragger.
Sure is. The flashbangs, like I've been saying, Martini. If some players can get a hang of it, they are going to be an incredible threat. As Curve has to push through some insins, takes some big damage, and barrels forward, goes down to the ace. Hero on the backline not able to support, as you wait for the push up here. The rest of this team outside of B.
Yeah, not looking great right now for the Fusion players. Already down 2, but they're still, I mean, Lynx only has 1 health in hand and no syringes on the Valiant side. So almost effectively picked here. They just need 1 stray bullet to come out here as the ace taking a lot of the chip damage from that blind firing here, but they do pick that one up. Go for a trade there in the end, but still only 2 left. Kai picks up another one in Lynx, leaving a 2-2 situation right now. Never mind, as I keep talking, Hero gets picked up.
Finally, the kill leader getting taken down, and Kai tries the lean peek to J-Bro, but the first round for Valiance goes into their pocket. It just took a little bit of time. They've got themselves a thrifty round. Not having, I think it's like your you had a certain amount of money less than your opponent before the start of the round, and then you win. That's how you get a thrifty round. So a nice little pickup from Valiance. It sets them up into a good space for the rest, for this final half. Otherwise, Fusion still A-okay on the economy. They'll be able to fold by here. And I don't know, is 2 rounds on defense enough for the side swap? Valiants are going to have a really strong offense.
Yeah, I've been genuinely surprised before from Factory. I've seen, beautiful attacks. I saw it yesterday in some of the playoff matches from, I think, F3 and Valor. They did really good on some of their attacking halves, but those are few and far between. Those are exceptions, honestly, to the map that is Factory here. And that's why I'm calling out Fusion's performance here as a standout performance, because getting potentially 4-2, maybe 5-1 is going to be a standout performance in terms of an attacking half here, because that's just such an uncommon thing. The idea is you want to capture as many attacking half rounds as you possibly can. You're probably only going to get 1 or 2, and you're banking for the rest on your defensive half.
See if Hero can suffer the mental anguish of dying a second time. Gonna be pretty tough. Ace continues to be a very effective tool and continues to find big kills. There's a good instant to the back line, though, but not before Ace catches Kai. Hero gonna push up with no EMP in hand. Almost gets grenaded, but only half of their health taken. Mac on the back line finds a kill. EMP still not picked up and on the ground as 7ZK and Hero and Mac try to make something happen in this 3v2. Ninja Tim and Link still on the backside, still tucked in and defending.
Yeah, again, this is going to be their best chance of getting another round in the pocket. It's the only chance they have on this first half here, as they do get that EMP planted and put down. Lynx, though, trying to go for the follow-up. Hero picks up Ninja Tim. Lynx, unfortunately, gets the pick, but is not able to deal with that refrag on the immediate rotation there.
Yeah, nice effort there. Ensign coming in a little late on the defensive side into the wrong EMP planting position. They didn't know that the EMP was going down outside near the doorway, but if an Ensign had been tossed there, it certainly could have been a good denial of EMP plant. Either way, a nice attempt from the duo down a player in that 2v3. And as we swap sides, we'll see if Fusion can put on a very clean, if Valiance can put on a very clean offensive half, because that's what they're going to need.
Exactly. I'm seeing some funny things come out in chat. Someone said Hero has the plot armor. Shout out to Brabadabadoo there. Because honestly, yeah, we're seeing some crazy things come out from the roster here. And I think somebody else even called out Rexy, said Fusion's new roster has never lost yet, which is going to be interesting to see, as obviously they've been performing so well. Again, 5-1 on their attacking half on Factory. This Fusion's looking really good. I'm excited to see what they do if they win this one out and obviously move on to the rest of the playoffs here.
Yep. 2 more points to go for Fusion. 6 more to go for Valiance. But the side swap in the pistol round could set the pace for them. And in everything. Looks kind of like a B-site setup, but maybe just an effort to clear out the top floor.
It probably roaming clears is probably what I'm checking out. We see a lot of roamers played on this third floor consistently, so I think they were just trying to be careful here, as we are going to get that breach live coming out here from the Valiance player. Maybe getting some blind fires, maybe getting some chip damage here for the most part, but Fusion playing pretty conservative except for that one deep roamer. And Mac, and Kai does get picked up.
J-Bro with an early pick is going to set them for that foam plant, and eventually the push in. The Ace going to be able to rotate into the doorway pretty free and easy. Mac on the bottom floor on the flank is going to be a threat, and Hero picking up the hatch drop going to be huge. The Ace still outside, still picking up kills with a Taurus, and Hero considering the challenge, but it's a 3v3, and they don't want to necessarily overextend as Mac works their way up from the bottom. This duo here on site gonna be threatened soon. Mac pops out, but Weirdo picks up a double. Hero finds the ace, and can they find 2 more is the question. Nice flash to the back line, sets up the opportunity for the EMP plant from Lynx.
Oh my goodness, I don't know if I saw that correctly. I think Mac might have been reloading. His Hero does have the mag into Weirdo, knocks him down for the count, only leaving Lynx GTB, but full health at this point. 97 to Hero's 20. He's got to do this perfectly, but it won't matter, as a Cyclone to the face is only going to do so much against Hero.
Cyclone's a bit of a stronger tool these days too, Martini. I've seen players start to utilize it a little bit more in close quarters like that. Obviously, it shines, and, well, maybe a comeback in the works for Valiance here. As map 1 certainly didn't start in their favor. Could be trending in their favor now. The second half and their offensive half would be what they need. We're not seeing a hero buy coming in this time over on the offense, and Fusion not over-investing too hard, but definitely picking up plenty of utility. Trip mines and static emitters alike to slow down what could be a fast Valiance offense. Again, sometimes that quick aggression can throw off a defense, and with flashbangs available as a very effective tool, speed can be a good weapon.
Yeah, I was just looking at the dev logs right now. It looks like the Cyclone was buffed in terms of base damage, so it does hit harder on average by like about 25%. Definitely better for those quicker, in-your-face engagements, because that's exactly what the Cyclone is
crazy.
Utilized for. Yeah,
are you serious? 25% damage.
Yeah, they lowered the headshot damage multiplier though, so that's the trade-off. But if most people, I feel like when they have a Cyclone, they just kind of empty it when they're in front of your face into your body, anyways, right?
Interesting. Snake catches. Weird. Another trip mine, actually. Sometimes speed not your friend.
It's funny. I've seen that trip mine on that exact spot 1,000 times, and I'm always shocked when it does pick up a kill. Especially against these are world-class players. These are the best players in the world, and they're still dying to some of these trip mines because so much is going on for them in these games. Right? There's so much action. There's so much counterplay coming out from the other side. They're frag going out deep, not quite getting too much chip damage, but this incendiary really denying any push on a side here. And I got to be careful for Hero. We got to be careful for Mag. Curve, though, goes in for the 2K. And it gets the 3K in the end. There's only the ace left here.
Yeah, I can't fend off what is going to be a dive out the doorway. And Fusion take it to map point in dominant fashion off of a near flawless defensive hold. The triple kill, Martini, definitely sets things up nicely.
Fusion. They're running. This is what I was talking about. They're running away with it at this point. I mean, they've been running away with it. Let's be quite frank here. 6-2. They only need one more in the pocket. And again, this is Fusion on Factory, on defense. Right? I've said that. I've said that line before. I think I said Acer on defense, on Factory, and I saw an overtime happen. So you never know. Things can happen. I've seen, attacking teams do well on Factory. It's not an impossibility, but statistically, when we've seen this happen time and time again, Fusion is just likely to win this, and that's why, again, it was an anomaly. What's up?
Look at Heroes KD, 17-4. They're 3 away from getting a 20 bomb in the postseason against Valiance.
In one map, by the way. It's not over several maps. It's the first map.
Nobody's even into double digits yet, and they're almost into double digits.
Hey, the ace is close. 9. Really close. Sort of.
Doesn't count. Round 9, though, shit kicking off here, and Valiance dive into an 8-site push, it seems. Do or die. Full buy coming in here. No point in saving money because they have to win every round from here on out.
Yeah, things are looking challenging. Fuse playing very aggressive on his corner. Goes in for the swing. Does pick up Weirdo. And that's not going to be looking great for them. Hero with another pickup there. Only 3 players left now on the Valiance. Never mind. 2 players left as Hero keeps picking up more kills. And they're now almost in the 20-kill territory here. And this is going to be the last round, I think, coming out here from Fusion and Valiance here. But Valiance, it was a valiant effort.
4v2. Not over yet. Heroes at 19. Are we going to see 20 kills from one player in the Season 4 postseason? It's up to Hero to decide. Kai takes down 1 of 2 that's left. Lynx still alive on the corner. Hero finds the kill. 20 kills coming in, and a Fusion map 1 victory, Martini.
We put it out to the universe there. The Hero getting a 20 bomb. 20 picks. You can't beat that. You can't beat that. This is, again, playoffs. This is top 8. This is map 1, not several maps in. This isn't the total KD. This is literally the first map.
That is impressive. as we do finish up our first map and our last best of 3 of the weekend. If you are just tuning in, a reminder that the winner here goes up against IVNA, who just won earlier today. And next weekend, starting Saturday, we have the semifinals. Acer versus Valor and IVNA versus what's looking like at this point, Fusion. Both those matchups going to be awesome on Saturday. Then Sunday, we have the third place match, the loser of both of those matchups, and the grand finals, the winner of both of those matchups. And quite frankly, Martini, I'm feeling an Acer IV finals, something that we're familiar with here on the VRML.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Acer be a champion, we've seen Ivy be a champion, and I would love to see them face off in finalists, right? That does mean, though, Acer's got to knock out Valor, obviously, for their matchup, and then we'll see if Fusion can take on, what were we just playing against?
IVNA.
Ivy, right?
I know, it's hard.
For Ivy take on, potentially Fusion. We don't know yet. We don't know they up for this game. But Ivy's got to knock out whoever's coming out of here.
Yep. It's a good quality battle back and forth, and we appreciate everybody tuning in, hanging out, and enjoying the action. It is thanks to you guys that we're able to do stuff like this. The VRML network exists because so many folks like to watch VR esports. We're growing this whole VR esports space by doing live events. And speaking of, if you haven't already, check out vrmasterleague.com/VRML Con, where you can get all the information you need about our third live event, July 25th to the 27th at Phoenix at the Arizona State University Media Experience Immersive Center. It's going to be a really cool event, well produced and broadcast live onto this channel. So if you are new, hit the sub button, hit the thumbs up button, and get ready for more action, because qualifiers for these tournaments are coming up just a few weeks away. If 4 or more teams register for the 5 tournaments that we have going live at VRML Con, then we will host online qualifiers to qualify only 4 teams in. We have 2 stages, multiple games getting played out. In total, $20,000 in cash to be earned. So if you are a franchise like Acer, it's in your best interest to register for all of the tournaments, because you could come away with 20 grand in cash spread across your organization. It's a really cool opportunity that's only possible thanks to big sponsorships from our developers. Triangle Factory, obviously one of them, Martini. They are a stellar developer. I can't wait for their new game coming up that they have teased and trailered. And on top of that, obviously, updates to this game. They continue to maintain the competitive space for Breachers, and it's so fun to see changes season to season.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what does develop there. It looks like that we are going to be getting... until the game is over. We can see a crazy comeback and a crazy pushback by the Valiant player on Dam.
One thing worth noting, I think, Martini, not a big break in between rounds here. Whether for better or worse, the Valiant squad not taking a timeout. And so they go on the attack on Dam. We'll take a look at match stats later up against this Fusion squad, and we'll see if they're going to have a chance of battling back against a team that's leading 7-2 off of a map win. They've got a lot of momentum, Martini. Fusion got to be feeling good right now.
Yeah, I wonder when I see a team like Valiant, right? You had a kind of a rough game in the other one, 7-2, not go for the break. Sometimes I think maybe they just want to stay warm and just kind of push it through. Maybe they say, hey, who really cares? It's not overthinking. Sometimes that does make it worse when you're overthinking. But I think sometimes a break is needed to really kind of break things up and allow you to kind of reset between 2 games here. But that's a personal opinion. I know not all teams ascribe to that here. But Mac and the Fuse on the back, and he's trying to get a lot of damage here. Ace though picking up Mac as the other side is attacking themselves. The Fuse picks up Ace and gets a 2K there. Autumn, Lynx, and Valiant's again off to a rough start, being down 2 players already.
Really nice double K there from Fuse, and Valiant's, yeah, down a player. At least they got Mac with that nice headshot, but Dabro, Ninja Tim, and Weirdo have to figure out how they're going to push this A site. They tucked in Fusion defense, and that's certainly one way to kick things off. Take down the kill leader from last round, Hero.
Yeah, Hero been giving so much value. Again, MVP, definitely someone worth getting that bonus if Fusion were to hand those out here. But Curve, though, picking up Ninja Tim on the other side. J-Bro coming up with that refrag themselves. Now 2v2 here, but Fusion on the 1 health here. I'm more about a 1.5, to be quite honest. Kai's got to play this perfectly as they do pick up Weirdo. Can they finish another? They can't. J-Bro, though, against Fuse.
Still, I don't think J-Bro knows Fuse is here on the corner. Fuse tucks in. Surprises J-Bro. No, J-Bro sees the elbow and the clutch comes through. Valiant's on the board. Kind of familiar territory here, Martini. I think Valiant's took the pistol lead last map, too.
Yeah, as we've seen, pistol lead's great. It gives you a little bit of better economy. It allows you to potentially get that hero buy. We saw that, I think, even in the previous map from the Valiants. But it is not the end-all, be-all. Not the end-all, be-all. It still requires you to push through, maybe win things out. Because economy advantage, while it is an advantage, is not a for sure final decision from the game. Obviously, it just helps you potentially win that upcoming matchup.
Here we go into the upcoming matchup here. Round 2. Going to be a little more deterministic of how this will go for the offense of Valiants. Maybe, I think, honestly, if they just get this second round and put 2 points on the board, they're going to be in good shape. But you are seeing Fusion buy in even after losing. You're seeing them pick up Omens. They're not going for an eco round here.
Yeah, they're probably saying, let's just send this. We've done great performances against, obviously, Valiants in the previous map. I can see us doing this again. I'm not shocked that they went for a more riskier buy here. The problem is the gamble gonna pay off? If it doesn't, it's gonna set them back for round 3.
Ace Ninja stacked up and ready, following Ninja Tim's commands off of the drone work that they just did. Everyone going to collapse together, close towards what is a very extended defense here. This is a very aggressive Fusion defense.
Probably the most aggressive defense I have seen ever. I think only one person is barely on site, and that's Kai. They're picking up a pick. Ninja Tim, though, getting a 2. Weirdo with that refrag. And I think this gamble did not pay out for Fusion right now, as 3 players coming in onto A site now from Valiants. This, unfortunately, was too much of an extension by the Fusion players. As we see, look at the bodies piled up here. 1, 2, 3, 4 players, not even remotely near the site here, and only one on the edge of the side there from Fusion. So an aggressive defense, a more aggressive economy choice, both didn't pay off.
I mean, Fusion's a squad. Yeah, this is a nice opener for the offensive Valiants. They're in a very good position here. They managed to do and disrupt what was a very off-meta defensive play from Fusion. I think they were just trying to surprise this Valiant's offense, and it almost worked. It really was in their face for Valiants, but they managed to fend off the aggressive swings on that Valiant's offensive side, and at the end of the day, only 1 or 2 end up surviving, so both teams impacted. You do see here 3 rifles and 2 SMGs coming in on the side of Valiants, despite 2 wins, but still doesn't mean that it's not an advantage to Valiants on the overall economy. All the utility is available to them in comparison to the very limited utility from Fusion.
Yeah, we'll see if Hero, again, being that hero by having the Bezin in hand, they have to frag out this round. If they don't, we're going to start seeing this momentum really shift towards Valiant's player. I'm not sure if they decided to just yell at each other in that, 10-second break in between 2 maps and just full send it into map 2, because it is working out for them right now.
Nice flash coming in, gonna blind Hero for the moment.
Yeah, drone coming out here, looking for some potential intel a little bit early on and around. Not quite seeing anyone. Again, we're seeing Fusion now playing the opposite. Very conservative defense here. 5 players all on the side here. So playing very, very anchored to these A and B sides here, because obviously what happened last round did not work out for them in any way, shape, or form.
Just trapped on our first-person perspective of Hero, so apologies for the camera bugs, but it's okay as we do get into round 3 here. Again, the push outside of B certainly coming through. A nice flash to the back line, catches Fuse, but no pressure just yet as Curve goes down. J-Bro gets picked up, And the 3v4 still advantage to this defense. Another flashbang to the back line. Doesn't catch Hero, who's tucked in here, ready and waiting for this offense to push through.
Yeah, already down a player. Down three players now for the Valiant side, as Ninja Tim and Ace are going to have to scrounge together this round. And also, the EMP is not in their hands. Got to retake that. As 50 seconds left in the round, counting down. Ace, though, does pick up Hero. That's going to be a big pick there. Potentially picking up Kai from Ninja Tim, but 40 seconds now, counting down. Ace has to play this perfectly.
Yeah, they're running out of time. They got to get this EMP up here. It's down in the middle of the doorway, which isn't really ideal. But Fuse is low, so is Kai. So this defense also just a slice of health. And where is the third? Where is Mac is the question, because they're going to be needed to hold this thing down. And there they are. Keep picking up one.
That is great right now from Mac. Can they win this one? Ace, though, I'd be yelling, get the EMP, go for the plan. They're probably rotating, or they're going to be coming in very, very slowly here. Mac went on the full rotation here. This was a smart play by them. Can they catch, though, the Ace off by surprise here? This is going to be coming down to perfect timing as Mac going in for the lead, knocks out the Ace. And that is such foresight there. I mean, talk about beautiful foresight by Mac to know, hey, they're going to go for the plan here. I'm going to go for the rotate.
Really nice read. Puts Fusion into a very important round win at the end of the day that Max scoops up for them off of a big clutch. And it's what you love to see in the postseason. It's why we're tuning in, because we want to see these teams perform under pressure. When there's cash prizing on the line, when there's hardware on the line, when there's your team's record and reputation on the line, who will come out on top? And so far, Fusion are fighting for that right to be crowned into the semifinals. Valiants have put 2 points on the board in both rounds. Can they put a third on the board is the question, or is it going to be comeback time for Fusion here?
I want to see a map 3. I want to see a map 3 Nightfire. You know I want to see one. You know I want to see an overtime. I want to see a map 3. I want to see something, because these early rounds in the playoffs, they kind of tend to play off the same exact way. Last season obviously was an anomaly in that some of the top teams were knocked out pretty early on, and I want to see. I love seeing excitement like that. I want to see something surprise me, right? Otherwise, when it's the seeding that's expected to win and they win, it's fun, it's nice, but I want action. I want overtime. I want a map 3 tiebreaker.
That's what we're here to find out. That's what we're here to tune into, quite frankly. It's what we're here to watch. But sometimes they're hard to get to. As we do have, again, those moments in the postseason that only come in the postseason where teams sometimes just accelerate their ability to win when the pressure is on. They sometimes really snowball the momentum, even more so than regular season. Curve analyzes J-Bro's position. J-Bro's going to dial in, hoping Curve peeks out. Curve just buying some time, but eventually has to drop off.
Yeah, they decided to peel off. They're probably the better decision, because they might be having potentially other players from a Valiants coming in from the backside there. Ninja Tim using that drone really get some intel, seeing that there's not really much action going on here. But here's the thing. You got Mac, you got Curve playing aggressive now on this exact site that we've seen him play aggressive on. Curve, though, pick it up. J-Bro, that's going to be a great pick there for Valiants. Sorry, against Valiants here. I don't know. Hopefully, we'll see if they can come back from that.
You see Valiants working their way in, despite the kill on that bottom floor, to this objective, and they got to be concerned about the flank from Mac, who's slowly working their way down the backside of this offense. Could be devastating if they're not cautious. The Ace is foaming up here, and Mac finds 2 just like that.
I mean, these off-angle picks coming out here from Fusion are just insane there. Curve being the only death right now on the Fusion side here. This is feeling like night and day between the first couple performances here, as the Lynx does pick up Fuse there in the end. They do have the EMP going in for the plant now. This is going to be a great time, and hopefully they can hold down the retake against Fusion. And they do. Weirdo picks up Kai.
Really good job there. Mac peeks out to catch. Weirdo holding things down. Needs support from Hero, who's pushing up on the short corner. Hero's going to catch Weirdo out nicely, and now it's down to Lynx GTV. Alone, over objective, scooping up the first kill of 2 that they'll need to clutch this up for their team.
I think Hero's going in for the tap. That is the play to play here. But Lynx is smart. They know they went in for the tap, but they got to commit at some point. Pros don't fake, Lynx. You got to go for it. No, they get picked up in the end by Hero, as that mind game is maybe going to pay off here. And it does with 5 seconds left on the clock here.
That was close, but Hero's the hero, and Fusion go 2-2 on the half, slowly clawing away at that lead of Valiance. And now you got to be a little bit worried if you're Valiance. How do you fare with 2 losses in a row here? You just lost map 1. You were in a 2-0 lead there, but now you're starting to slide back. Do things snowball, or do we see Valiance step up with the pressure on? Because that's what it takes in the postseason if you want to make your way through to the finals.
Right, can Valiance be the team that's able to persevere and really push on and be resilient, you know, in the face of adversity here? We've seen that from Fusion time and time again. We saw map 1 persevere and do so well for them, as it was a dominant performance by Fusion. And this is, again, Fusion on defense. Can they hold down Dam? I think Dam feels more even for both sides here, but I always give a slight advantage to defensive half because it is different. It is different to defend a site and prevent someone from having to retake it here. And that's why, you know, MP plants are generally really useful and good to have because of the retake and hold there in terms of defensive plays.
Shout out to all you fine folk tuning in, hanging out, and enjoying the action this afternoon. We do appreciate you for stopping by and tuning in. Hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you can. We really would appreciate that support. Curve, unable to hit their shots onto the drone and giving away their position there. Almost gets caught by an Ensign and has to drop back just a little bit.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing some showboating here from Curve. Probably very confident about what we had seen there. But you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with sometimes the ego and the things like that. Is somehow barely missing the frag there. Curve, though, does pick up J-Bro in the end. Ninja Tim on the drone, but that's not gonna be much use for them as they can't get anything else used. Picking up Ace on the back end there.
Flash catches Curve, but Ninja Tim not acting off of it. So Curve alive and well until Ninja Tim puts one through their head. Nice pickup that opens up the push in, but still 4-3.
Yeah, still fighting into a disadvantage right now for the Valiance players. Doesn't mean it's an impossibility, but I'd be a little if I were a betting man, I'm not sure if I could see them come out of this. But we've seen them do that before. We've seen them do well against Fusion. Doesn't mean they can't do it in this current round here. But 4 players anchored on that A side right now. They're gonna be holding these long angles as Fuse knocks down Lynx for the count.
Flashbang comes in. Ninja Tim trying to push forward off of it, but doesn't have anyone blind. And as they peek, everyone's unblinded anyway. Hero, Kai scoop up the kill there as they dial in on the lane. And now Weirdo alone in a 1v4. This
Valiance, I mean, momentum was starting to ramp up. I was hoping to see something.
Yep.
It's starting to slow down.
Starting to slow down. It's a drastic decline, dare I say, as this Fusion squad rallies more and more, getting closer to the 4-2 defensive half. I start to wonder if maybe when we swap sides, we'll see Valiance bounce back. Maybe they're just happy that they've gotten 2. They don't even necessarily worry about any more than that, and they're just going to go into their defensive half and hope to dominate.
Sometimes I get that. Like, you're just hoping, hey, let's get 2, maybe 3. Maybe we'll get 3, and then we're good with that performance. 3 is ideal. 2 is, you know, expected. Any less than that is obviously not what they want here, but 2 is still solid. 4 and 2 is still enough to recover, especially with them on their own defensive half in this upcoming second half here, right? This is the final round here. We'll see some full buys from both sides here. I believe both teams should be able to fully buy out here, so this is going to be probably one of the more even rounds between these two here. But, I mean, Fusion has been dominating. That momentum has really been starting to stack up here. I'm probably leaning towards them for this part.
Here we go into the action. Fusion versus Valiance. Map 2 single elimination bracket, opening up with a kill on Ninja Tim. A nice start for Fusion. Finding one for Trip Mine.
Trip Mine is definitely be hurting those ankles for sure. Weirdo going aggressive in on this side. Doesn't pick up Kai though, as they took so much chip damage from that initial push in to that side here. Macron is snuff out and sees the find Link. J-Bro with the follow-up. Curve. Fuse with the follow-up. There's J-Bro with another one. Curve though swings it, and that's going to be it for this first half.
Like you said, Martini, I'm fearing we're into a snowball now. That was a fast round on defense, no less, coming in from Fusion. As we swap sides, they go into the pistol round. I would imagine they're going to keep this momentum going, barrel into this next site. That's risky, though, and so I don't, what do? Do you just say, hey, let's take a breath, we've got the lead, we don't need to overpress, or do you keep the momentum rolling and try and rely on the fact that you have been really doing well on these last few rounds against your opponent, because that's what's been happening for Fusion.
Yeah, that aggression has been working out a lot better for Fusion. Those picks are coming out in form. We're not quite seeing the same exact numbers. It's a lot more even, actually, funny enough. This time around 6-6-6-6, 4-4. So pretty good spread. And we're not seeing Hero, come in with that 20 bomb like we saw on the map of 1 here, which is good. That showcases that a lot more of the team is a lot more is interacting a lot better this time around. I think the chemistry is starting to flow. But we're going to have to see that from Valiance. Otherwise, again, best of 3. This is already 1 map in a pocket for Fusion. This is a lot less pressure for them coming to the second map.
Do we see 2 best of 2s to wrap up the weekend is the question here. Fusion going to be the deterministic factor in that. Are they going to play good, clean offense? Or are we going to see the aggression from Valiance pay off, maybe catch a couple of kills and set them up for a nice pistol round win?
And they got to be careful with this aggression. Lynx, though, taking a lot of chip damage. Tries to take out Mac. Does get picked up in the end by that window push here. Looks like they're getting ready for this A side push here pretty soon. But they do have to be careful. Ace is on the back end. So being mindful of that deep roamer is going to be very vital. Unless they can get a huge amount of picks for Ace. And that's going to be a big deal if they can.
Big damage done on the Mac is going to stick around in this pistol round. But with an Ensign down to zone out the push, Hero shutting down Ace on the flank. Fusion 5 alive to the 2 left from Ninja Tim and J-Bro on this retake as Ninja Tim maybe disconnected mid-grenade throw and then comes back, dropping it on their feet and dying to their own Ensign. J-Bro can't push out against 5, and it's a flawless victory for Fusion. The snowball's as big as it can get right now. Well, almost as big as it can get. 5-2, map 2. I don't think that Valiants are going to be able to score more than 2 points against Fusion on either map.
I see someone in the chat says 7-2 and 7-3, obviously for Fusion here. And I'm inclined to believe that, but dare I say a double 7-2. We're seeing, again, Fusion run with this momentum, doing such a good job, and I feel like the mental right now in Valiance, it seems like it's falling apart here. It's not really quite collecting the way that I'd hoped, because we'd seen him perform pretty solid for a couple rounds there.
Yeah, we had, as Ninja Tim still having some issues, finally snapping back into the game there. That's tough. Not what you need when you're trying to bounce back, and exactly what Fusion want,
Yeah, coming back into yourself, killing yourself with your own incendiary has got to be heartbreaking. It's got to be heartbreaking.
Yeah. That's tough. And sometimes just part of the game. When we play in an online environment like this, you have to bear with technical difficulties like that. And you can't really pause, reset. You don't have a ref in the arena to tap the other team on the shoulder and tell them to take a break and reset the rounds. Like you can if you're in live in-person event. Like VRML Con. The Ace swings out, catches a nice headshot on the curve.
A great start here for the Valiant players. Oh, that's that second one. But they do get refragged there, unfortunately, by Fuse. But that's still going to be a big 2-pick opener for the Valiant players, as it looks like Fuse, Kai, and Hero getting ready for this push in. Pretty soon here, Ninja, though, does get double teamed. And again, dies in their own pool of lava there.
A nice team play there as the flashbangs come into the backline on top of the grenades. Worried about the flank from Lynx. They have to be. As 7ZK tucks in. Could hear the audio steps of Lynx pushing the corner. Be able to communicate that to Hero and Kai, who are focused on pushing site.
Yeah, I think at this point they're trying to really draw out Fuse, really distract them from expecting where they can be hiding there as the 2 play on the side. Hero picks up J-Bro, tries to pick up Weirdo. Does send that incendiary to really knock them out and zone them out from leaving. Kai, gotta be ready for Weirdo, though. Weirdo does get the pick, almost the second on the Hero, but it doesn't matter. Hero does what Hero does and gets a pick.
Pretty dang huge for Fusion to push back up off of a 2-0 deficit in this map to now be 6-2 and potentially taking this series in 2 maps. I think, if anything, it does indicate that Fusion are ready for their next opponent up the ladder. There's going to be IV. If Fusion win this map, next weekend, Saturday, 3 p.m. PST, we'll be tuning in to watch IVNA versus Fusion in a battle to the grand finals. Loser, relegated to only 3rd place, but they still have to win 3rd place. Winner has a chance at 1st or 2nd, a chance at that cash prize, a chance at hardware from HyperX. A decent chunk of change on the line here at the end of the day, Martini, that these teams are playing for.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what does develop. I mean, this round isn't quite over yet, but obviously I'm expecting things to go a certain way. So it'll be exciting to see IVNA really potentially duke it out against Fusion, 2nd and 3rd seed. Can't really get any closer than that. Obviously, 1st and 2nd, we're not going to be quite seeing that. As I think it's Valor versus Acer, right, for the other matchup for next Saturday.
Yes, indeed. So either way, next weekend going to be stacked up with some good games that you're going to want to tune into. This weekend certainly has had some good ones. EU was really close. We had some great back and forth. We got to a 3rd map over on the EU side. So if you missed that one, tune into that live broadcast, that feed here on the VRML network. It's already the VOD, rather, not the live broadcast. We appreciate you tuning in. And see, maybe we get more rounds here, but for now, Fusion pushing forward. Can they scoop up the series?
This is do or die moment for Valiance at this point. They gotta win this one, otherwise it's over. 7-3 or 7-2. Sorry, and this would be interesting because I believe they lost map 1. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's 7-2. So it'll be basically a match of their links. Though gets the pick, but does get repracticed. Ninja Tim goes in for the swing. Why are they just fully swinging this area? They got it. Weirdo gets the pick there. That's gonna be a very, I think, ego push, but it did work out in the end. As Curve though and Matt coming out on the back end there, as they're gonna still retake A site.
Yeah, now they have to crash back and push back in. Matt gets hit hard by an instant Curve waving goodbye to them, but no, maybe hello, as they do manage to push away from that instant. Curve almost gets tagged by J-Bro on the backside. Curve trying to... can't offer up any syringe or heal, but J-Bro is alone in a 1v1.5.
Yeah, 1.5, but it's still nonetheless another player here. J-Bro probably expecting a full site rotation here. This is going to be mind game of the century, though, if Fusion plays this right, because it looks like they were going to play B, but they're actually going to be playing A site now, and that's going to be putting J-Bro in probably one of the worst situations. Like, nope, they're not committing to A site. They're going back to B site. They're going for the rotation that was predicted by J-Bro.
And J-Bro's there to find one. A nice pickup out the gate. Looking for more. 9-6 on the half. Max going to swing away. Try and rotate over to A site. Try and get an instant out to stop the rotation, but can't quite get there. EMP is going to come down. J-Bro going to have to push this corner. Going to have to vault over. EMP does go down. Mac pushes up and they connect it. It's Fusion, denying Valiance more than 2 points in both maps and taking the series, advancing on. They'll be duking it up against IVNA next weekend.
It was so close. It was right there. It was right there, Knifefire. I mean, I thought J-Bro was about to pull up clutch of the century. I thought Fusion was going to do like a weird fake out rotation onto B side and go to A side instead. And, you know, it was right there.
Filled with good replays, an exciting series nonetheless, but the last one for the weekend, Martini. And if you have been tuning in here on the NA side, we appreciate you. Subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, and head on over to vrmasterleague.com/VRML Con, where you can get all the information you need about our live event, July 25th to the 27th. You're not going to want to miss out on the Phoenix Arizona State University Media Experience Immersive Center tournament. It's $5,000 on the line for just the Breachers tournament, $20,000 on the line spread across 5 tournaments onward with no cash prize pool, but prize pools for Pavlov, Breachers, Vale, and Orion Drift. So if you are interested, I highly recommend you check out vrmasterleague.com/VRMLCon. You pick up your tickets and you register a team. If you are a solo attendee, all you have to do is sign up as a solo attendee, and if there's 5 other solo attendees that want to register a team, we will automatically pair you up with that team, and you could be one of 2, 4, 16 teams playing live on stage at VRML Con for a chance at more than just $5,000 if you participate in multiple tournaments. The single ticket enters you into all 5 tournaments if you want. So we highly encourage, if you have picked up your ticket, to register a team or solo register so we can put you in a team so that you can play for some cash money at VRML Con. It's going to be a really fun event, one that we've hosted 3 times already, and one that me and Martini have been to in the past, just last year. It was a lot of fun, Martini, and something that I'm already looking forward to here, especially as this season starts to wrap up.
I mean, I love VRML Con. I had such a blast last year. It was like 2-3 days, I think, out in Denver instead. Yep. We'll be out in Phoenix this time around. I'll get to see all the other casters, all the top players in the world. We're going to see Orion Drift on stage for the first time. So we'll see a lot of new stuff coming out here, and obviously Preachers on stage. But we already saw them last year, so it's not new, right? But we'll see them again on stage.
It'll be a lot of fun. Still going to be a lot of fun, and when that prize pool is on the line of $5,000, I imagine these teams are going to be eager to play at a high level. So definitely something to tune into here on the VRML Network. If you are interested, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button. We have qualifier tournaments coming up. We have the next weekend, the Breachers Season 4 Grand Finals that you're going to not want to miss. So please do tune in for those. Same time, same place, 9 a.m. PST for EU. 3 p.m. PST for NA, Saturday and Sunday next weekend. Put it on your calendars. Get ready for that action because there is more to come. But for now, for this weekend, that'll be it for us. My name has been Nightfire with 2 E's, my co-caster Martini. A quick shout out to Triangle Factory for supporting the VRML, for enabling us to contribute to these prize pools, for enabling us to do all sorts of great stuff with the competitive scene. They are a fantastic developer, and I'm really looking forward to their new game that they've been teasing and working on. The trailer looks fantastic. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, Martini. I don't know if you remember it, but the new Triangle Factory game they're developing.
Forefront. I'm excited.
Forefront, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's 13 or 16 player. I think they have both arena games. Yep. So I think it's meant to be like Battlefield and VR. Yep. Is kind of the tagline.
Going to be a lot of fun. Forefront, their new game in development by Triangle Factory, so do go check that out. But as I've said, this will be it for us. My name's Nightfire with 2 E's, my co-caster Martini. We'll see you all next weekend. Until then, stay classy. VRML is brought to you by Helga, the esports manager, Triangle Factory. Thanks for watching VRML.